Chapter 1274. Hearing Dustless's honest ridicule, everyone was petrified. They all looked down at the charred ground as if their souls had been sucked out. That charred pit was like looking at the sun up close. Their glasses were stinging. "Ah, Miss Laybell, you've already lost. Now, please perform the jump and come over here to massage my waist and legs. Really, these few days have been very tiring." Dustless sighed with emotion as he continued to order libel. He gave off the feeling of a petty person intoxicated by success. You're dreaming. I haven't lost yet." Laybell gritted her teeth and stood up. She had originally planned to admit defeat, but Dustless's smiling face deeply provoked her. Especially when he mentioned "massage my waist and legs," Laybell stood up as if she had been electrocuted. She could not accept such a cruel reality. Absolutely not. Becoming Dustless's slave meant that she had to agree to all sorts of things. How could she, as the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family, put her face? She could not compromise. "You still intend to resist?" Seeing the madness in Laybell's eyes, Dustless could not help but shake his head. It was not that he looked down on Laybell, but the gap between them was just too big. No matter how hard the little chick worked, no matter how diligently she studied, she could not compare to an eagle soaring in the sky. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a gust of cold wind suddenly blew. Laybell suddenly felt chilly. "You bastard, you're doing this on purpose." Laybell was stunned. She subconsciously looked at her body and realized that her white wrists were already exposed to the air. "This is just a warning. If you continue to fight with me, perhaps all your clothes will be burned off." Dustless chuckled. His words contained an undisguised threat. I won't give up even then." Laybell was still stubbornly unwilling to give up. The magic power that had been stagnant in her body once again increased tremendously. It erupted ferociously without end. The flames on her body also became more and more enchanting. "Looks like it's not bad." Dustless rubbed his chin with interest. A golden light suddenly appeared on his fingertips. He glanced at Laybell and then shot out with all his might. Lasers. The unstoppable beam of light shot out and penetrated Laybell's body without any resistance. This kind of attack is useless. I was just careless and got hit by you." A thumb-sized crack appeared where Laybell's wound had been, thanks to Dustless's attack. However, Laybell was not affected at all. Her wounds began to heal slowly in the next second. The Phoenix family has the body of the immortal bird. At the same time, they also have their special characteristics, immortality. No matter what kind of attack they receive, they will regenerate immediately. Their blood can make them immortal, and their tears can heal all injuries. Riaz stood up and explained, her tone carrying a hint of admiration. "It sounds very powerful." Dustless rubbed his chin. Although he said so, his expression was frivolous. It was obvious that he deliberately said it to satisfy the vanity of this girl who thought highly of herself. "Since you know how strong we are, then surrender quickly." Laybell's tone was incomparably arrogant, revealing a sense of superiority. "You want me to surrender?" Hearing that, Dustless could not help but laugh. His body suddenly erupted with a unique aura. Those who were affected by it all had a drastic change in expression. Boom boom boom. The extremely oppressive aura soared into the sky, unstoppable. Laybell, who was intimidated by the aura, immediately panicked. Her calm eyes changed from the calmness from before to extreme fear. She was shocked to find that there was an extremely domineering aura covering her body. With just a will or a casual sneeze, she would be killed instantly. Unable to take it anymore, Laybell almost fainted from suffocation. Plop! After holding on for a few seconds, Laybell finally collapsed to the ground. Her eyes lost focus, and the gaze she looked at Dustless with was replaced by fear. This guy must be the unknown mysterious demon king who has regained his youth. Suddenly, such a ridiculous thought appeared in Laybell's mind. Although it was a little unrealistic, Libel was sure that Dustless was the reincarnation of some ancient big shot. Otherwise, how could he be so powerful? Judging from his appearance, he was only a young man of 17 or 18 years old. "Miss Libel, are you going to carry out the agreement now?" Dustless said lazily and frivolously. He was not afraid of her rejection, and said threateningly, "Of course, if you still don't agree to it, I don't care. However, your family might be in for a bad time." "Do you have the demeanor of a powerhouse?" Libel was extremely furious. Her nose was crooked from anger. Dustless was an unparalleled powerhouse, yet he did not have the slightest bit of demeanor or magnanimity. He actually dared to be angry with a teenage girl. "Of course not." Dustless shrugged and replied frankly, "I don't care about that kind of thing. In short, I know that I have a little maid called Libel Phoenix in the future. I won't restrict your actions, and you can run away if you want. There's a saying in my hometown, the monk can run away, but the temple can't. If you're not afraid of my revenge on the Phoenix family, you can try to run away." After saying that, Dustless leisurely left. Although Libel's personality was a little arrogant and seemed to be very willful, she could definitely tell the danger of such a thing. If she ran away or rejected Dustless's conditions, the Phoenix family would suffer his revenge. Chapter 1275. Libel Phoenix was trembling with anger. She dared not voice her anger, and could only endure it silently. "Phew. This farce ends here. Let's disperse." Riaz waved her hand and spoke with the authority of a superior. "Zhu Nai, you wouldn't mind having a servant in the house, would you?" Dustless walked up to Zhu Nai lazily while holding Libel's little hand. "Shouldn't you be thanking me for having a little maid to clean your room in the future?" Zhu Nai squirmed when she heard this. She glanced at Dustless with a conflicted expression. Then, she said to Libel, "If you really want to come, you'll have a place to stay. I'll go home and clean up a clean room for you." With that, Zhu Nai skipped away happily. "Don't think that I'll let you go just because Zhu Nai said that, my cute spoils of war." Dustless pinched Libel's smooth cheeks. The latter glanced at him and tried her best to avoid him. "If you avoid the responsibility of being a maid, I'll take my revenge on your family." That sentence pulled Libel back. Not only that, she even approached Dustless of her own accord. She put on a smile that was uglier than a bitter one. She was afraid that this great devil king would come to the underworld and cause trouble for the Phoenix family. An ordinary devil king would definitely not do that. However, it was a different story if the target was Dustless. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, it was night. Libel followed Dustless home. Zhu Nai tidied up Libel's room considerately. The facilities were complete. She did not treat her like a maid, but more like a friend. Creak. The door was pushed open softly. Dustless and Libel stepped in. Dustless looked around. He did not see Zhu Nai anywhere. There were only steaming dishes on the table. Perhaps Zhu Nai had something to do and had left. "Dustless, shut up. I told you before that you're not allowed to call me by my name. Call me master, understand? Looks like if I don't punish you accordingly, you'll never be able to change this bad habit of yours." Dustless said unhappily with a straight face, but in his heart, he was thinking about how to punish Libel. "Forget it, I won't make things difficult for you. Go and get me a bottle of hot water. Help me wash my feet. You'd better hurry before I change my mind. If I change my mind, I can deny it at any time." Countless veins appeared on Libel's forehead when she heard that. As the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family, it had always been others who did their best to help her wash her feet. When had she ever helped others? Especially the person he hated the most. "You don't plan to do it? Looks like you're going to violate the previous agreement again. Alright, I'll go to the underworld to look for. I promise you." Before Dustless could finish his sentence, Libel had no choice but to agree. "It's just washing my feet. It's no big deal." Libel comforted herself nervously, feeling lost about the future. She had come here to denounce Riaz with the intention of humiliating her, but in the end, she had somehow angered an unprecedented big shot. She had even sacrificed herself to become his personal maid. She had even threatened to destroy the Phoenix family that she belonged to from time to time. Just thinking about it made Libel furious. The contrast between before and after was just too fast, so fast that she found it hard to accept. She pouted and glanced at Dustless. After calming herself down, Libel calmly went to get the water to wash her feet. It's not bad to be the maid of a powerhouse. It's better than being a sacrifice for a marriage alliance between families in the future. Libel comforted herself with a mesmerizing smile on her face. Not bad, you've changed your mood very quickly. Dustless saw the change in Libel. The smile on her face was like a budding flower, attracting Dustless's attention. She quickly fetched a basin of hot water and looked embarrassedly at Wu Qian, who was sitting with his legs crossed. Finally, she took a deep breath of cold air and stabilized her fluctuating heart. Then, she calmly walked over. She reached out her slender fingers, and in that instant, it was as if she had truly become a maid. She calmly took off Dustless's shoes and socks, and agilely pressed his feet into the hot water. What are your thoughts on washing someone's feet for the first time? At least say something. Seeing Libel standing there like a corpse without saying anything, Dustless could only take the initiative to say, "It's against the rules if you don't give me a reasonable explanation." Libel felt a headache coming on when she heard that. She had thought that she was hard to please, but she suddenly felt that compared to Dustless, she was too kind in the past. "I can't really describe how I feel, but I don't hate it," Libel said bluntly as she gently rubbed Dustless's feet with her palms. "You don't hate it? Even if you hate it, you wouldn't dare to say it out loud," Dustless said disdainfully. He then closed his eyes and enjoyed the massage. Libel seemed to know everything since birth. She controlled the strength of her slender fingers perfectly, making people unable to stop themselves from being deeply immersed in it. Libel clearly had no interest in answering Dustless's question. She focused on washing Dustless's feet with warm water, looking very professional. Seeing that Libel was ignoring him, Dustless tactfully shut his mouth. He wasn't so bored that he would stick his hot face to someone's cold butt. Perhaps it was because he was too tired, but Dustless quickly fell asleep under Libel's meticulous care. He slept all the way until the next morning. When he woke up, the sun was already high in the sky. Chapter 1276. When he woke up from his dream, he was shocked to find that he was still on the same sofa as yesterday. Hey. Are you kidding me? You're my maid, how can you leave your master on the sofa? What if I catch a cold? That's a big problem. Dustless, who was wearing a simple shirt, protested to Libel, who was busying herself. The key is that you don't have a cold or a fever. Libel had a pitiful look on her face as she ignored Dustless's protest and continued to prepare breakfast. TSK. This outfit is not bad. You didn't buy it on purpose to rope me in, did you? Dustless looked at Libel's new pajamas with a satisfied look on his face. Don't overthink it, this is Junai's. Libel's face turned red as if she noticed Dustless's invasive gaze. Everything happened so suddenly that she became Dustless's maid without any preparation. She was even brought into the house by Junai without bringing any facilities with her. Everything she used was Junai's. Junai's? She does have such a heavy taste. Dustless suddenly realized that Libel's pajamas were almost transparent. It was completely black with obvious lace at the cuffs. As Libel moved, her pale skin could be vaguely seen. Era. Is it really okay for you to talk about me like this? How am I a heavy taste? Dustless, tell me about it. A pungent fragrance came from behind. Dustless turned around and saw Junai hugging his head with a smile. She rubbed his head and asked jokingly, "How did it feel yesterday?" "I bet you had a good time with Miss Libel." "Good time?" Dustless shook his head when he heard that. He was so tired yesterday that he did not even manage to touch her before he fell asleep, let alone have a good time. Looks like it's not bad. After putting on his slippers, Dustless glanced at the dazzling array of food on the table. Dustless nodded inwardly. Today's breakfast was much more sumptuous than usual. Of course, the food you've been eating in the past was too monotonous. It's necessary to add the right amount of food, LaBelle said as if it was a matter of course. Dustless turned around and left. He hadn't washed his face and brushed his teeth. If he wasted any more time, he might be late again. The third year of Chariot King Academy. You finally arrived earlier than me today. What a miracle. Riaz, who had just stepped into the classroom, was shocked. It was her first time seeing Dustless arrive before her. Ahem. There's no need to be so surprised. Dustless waved at Riaz awkwardly, ignoring the jealous eyes of the other men around him as he pulled Riaz to the side to sit down. Who asked them to be desk mates? By the way, I have something to tell you. Before Dustless could say anything, Riaz said in a serious tone, LaBelle's status is not ordinary. You forced her to be a maid, and that has attracted a lot of attention. So fast. Don't tell me someone is spreading the news on purpose. F***ck, there's a mole. Dustless was speechless. It was just yesterday's news, and he instinctively suspected that someone was spreading the news on purpose. Riaz was shocked by Dustless's sudden action. After she recovered, she explained, LaBelle is the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family. Her status is noble, and it's only a matter of time before someone finds out. What we need to worry about is not this, but the next problem. The next problem? There's no such thing as a problem in my life. Any problem that gives me a headache is a small matter that I can easily solve. Dustless said nonchalantly as he rested his head on the table, looking like he was about to fall asleep again. Bastard, you better wake up. Riaz did not know whether to laugh or cry. Her head hurt, and she could not help but think of Gulifia's words that Dustless always said. You're even harder to please than the Demon King. Riaz could not help but sigh. Looking at Dustless now, she suddenly felt that this sentence was too apt to describe him. Don't tell me it's LaBelle's family. If they want to take her away, they can try. I don't care. Dustless acted like he was unmoved by force or persuasion. He just smiled at the so-called Phoenix family and did not take it to heart. He ignored it like a joke. It's not the Phoenix family. Your high profile has attracted the attention of the underworld, and I have to tell you seriously that the person who is looking for trouble this time is in the Horse King Academy. It's our student council president, Jitsu Kangna. Riaz's words were shocking. Dustless also made a rare expression of surprise. He rubbed his chin and said, Student council president. I've never paid attention to her, but I heard that her sister is one of the demon kings like your brother. Interesting. Interesting. Hearing that, Riaz's face darkened. If this matter was not handled properly, they might offend a demon king, and the severe consequences were no joke. But speaking of which, I need to find out how I offended the student council president, who is Jitsu Kangna. Dustless looked like a curious baby, expressing that he really did not understand. He was not afraid of enemies, but being made a scapegoat for no reason, who would not be happy about it? It's hard not to notice. You destroyed the school field with a kick and turned LaBelle into a maid. If I were the student council president, I would also pay attention to you. You have only yourself to blame. Chapter 1277. Dustless smiled at Riaz's sarcasm. He was more or less interested in Ji Chudsong and that devil sister. Then why are they looking for me? Riaz, I'm your future husband. You won't just watch me get caught, right? Dustless said with a tone that said, if anything happens to me, you should come and protect me. Hearing that, Riaz's delicate face flashed with awkwardness. Her watery eyes looked around, and after making sure that no one heard them, she finally quieted down. In public, don't say that we're engaged. Riaz said sternly, but Dustless did not seem to mind. Sure, but don't talk to me about a duel. I won't duel with you. Riaz shook her head like a wavy ghost. Without even thinking, she rejected Dustless's condition. LaBelle was a good example. Catch you? That's not going to happen. Of course, I won't leave you alone. Riaz gave him a comforting look, but deep in her eyes, there was a hint of schadenfreude. She actually hoped that Dustless and Ji Chuzong would have a conflict. They'll come and invite me after school, right? Dustless suddenly asked. Invite you? Hearing that, Riaz's face darkened. She said unhappily, you want her, the president of the student council, to invite you? Are you dreaming? That's really disappointing. Wu Chen muttered disappointedly. Then, he didn't care anymore and started to sleep as usual. This time, he fell asleep. Ding ding ding, when it was close to noon, the school bell rang. Riaz pushed Dustless who was snoring. Get up, let go of me. Riaz screamed unexpectedly. Caught off guard, Wu Chen grabbed her hand and placed it on top of her head like a pillow. This feeling. TSK, not bad. Dustless closed his eyes and mumbled in his sleep, his face full of comfort. Hey, what kind of person is this guy? Riaz sighed as she stared at Dustless's sleeping face. His skin was smoother and fairer than a woman's, and Riaz could not help but pinch it. Very bouncy. Riaz said in surprise. She couldn't help but increase the force. You've got guts. You dare to pinch my face? Dustless suddenly opened his eyes and stared at Riaz with a half-smile. His shifty eyes darted around, and while Riaz was distracted, he suddenly got up and pulled her into his arms. Even if you want to cause trouble, you have to look at the situation first. This is a teacher. Li Yasi panted and said. She was hugged tightly by Wu Chen. Her whole body was soft and she did not have any strength to move. Riaz even noticed that a pair of small hands had invaded her body when she was not paying attention, teasing her legs. It was as cunning as Dustless himself, deliberately teasing her. So you're saying that we can cause trouble in other situations? Dustless ignored Riaz's protest. His face was attacked, and it was a huge loss. If he did not get it back, it would be a huge loss. You despicable guy, you know that's not what I meant. Riaz scolded. Seeing that Dustless ignored her and continued to explore her body, Riaz had no choice but to release her magic to clear Dustless' mind. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Riaz was like a leak, and blood-red magic kept leaking out of her body, forming a dark red magic mist that covered Dustless' body. It even had the characteristics of lightning. Smack! 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 The magic released a scorching attack, destroying Dustless' body. But what made Riaz break down was that Dustless did not even react. Yes, right there, use more force. I fell asleep last night, and that little maid, LaBelle, was lazy and did not bathe me, so my body was itchy. But Riaz, your lightning was beautiful, and my body stopped itching immediately. Not bad, use more force. Wu Chen closed his eyes and enjoyed it. His demeanor was floating. Squeak squeak squeak, Riaz almost vomited blood when she heard that. She widened her eyes and looked at Dustless as if she was looking at a monster. Her eyes were filled with shock, and she asked quietly, are you sure your body is getting more and more comfortable? And not being whipped by the magic power? The two of you didn't go home after school, and instead stayed in the classroom to flirt. This is a big problem. A calm voice with a hint of dissatisfaction was suddenly heard. A girl wearing glasses and the uniform of the Colt King Academy appeared at the door of the classroom. She happened to see what happened just now. This person was the president of the student council, Chico Tsang Na. Ah, Miss Tsang Na, oh, your real name should be Tsang Na Sidi, but I still like the name Tsang Na. Let me ask you this weakly, hiding at the door and peeking at other couples. Why are you so thick-skinned? Dustless saw Tsang Na appear and nodded secretly. She was also a beauty. Her skin was white and beautiful, and her body was very well proportioned. The parts that should be perky were not lying down, and the parts that should be perky were even more perky. Especially her wise eyes, which added a unique mature aura to the girl. She exuded the aura of a noble, like a well-read queen. You said I'm thick-skinned? Chikotsang-na's mouth twitched, and she glared at Dustless with fire in her eyes. Even Riaz was shocked by Dustless's words, let alone Chikotsang-na herself. Although it was a little shameless to eavesdrop on other couples, you should not say it out loud. Chapter 1278. Chokang's face twitched violently as her magic went berserk. As the Demon King's sister, everyone who saw her would be fearful of her, or at least respectful. Now, Dustless actually said, how can you be so thick-skinned? How will she have a foothold in the future? However, Chokang's tragedy was that just as she was about to finish her sentence, it was interrupted by Dustless's sudden change of events. What about me? Eavesdropping and peeking at others flirting, don't you think it's very rude? Before you ask others, please apologize first, or I will refuse to answer all of your questions, Miss Chokang. Dustless showed another side of him other than his powerful strength. His poisonous mouth was still unforgiving as he said, of course, if you are the kind of person with no manners and vulgar taste, it's fine if you don't apologize. Similarly, I will not answer any of your questions. Dustless's words were like a sharp tooth that pierced deeply into Chokang's heart. Don't push your luck. The usually wise Chokang's tone had a rare touch of anger. After she glared at Silver, the accumulated anger in her heart also disappeared. I'm sorry, just now, recalling Dustless and Riaz's intimate actions just now, Chokang's little face turned red, and a flash of embarrassment flashed across her face. She said, I'm really sorry for interrupting the two of you. Please don't forgive me. The girl's actions were elegant and calm and generous. Her expression was carefree as if nothing had happened just now. This girl. I wanted to deliberately make things difficult for her, but I didn't expect her to really apologize. I couldn't tell that this little girl is quite magnanimous. Dustless glanced at Chokang and couldn't help but treat her differently. Miss Chokang, please speak your mind. With a smile, Dustless hugged Riaz in his arms and played with her. He also asked Chokang a question, her half-hearted attitude making him angry. What does this girl do? Although she's not bad-looking and seems to be quite strong, is her charm that great? What's with Riaz's uncontrollable look? Chikusatsang-na frowned. Faced with Dustless's teasing, Chikusatsang-na could see that Riaz was secretly delighted despite her disgusted expression. After all, she and Riaz had been close friends for many years. Since that's the case, I'll be frank. Ignoring Riaz's coquettish voice, he asked Sang-na, please give me a reasonable explanation for your background. I let you in because... At this point, Ji Chu-tsang-na paused and glanced at Riaz. This was all because of her, but now this B***TCH was flirting in someone else's arms. Outrageous. I don't have any background. I'm just an ordinary solo cultivator. There's no need for me to be bothered by such trivial matters. Dustless answered frankly without any falsehood. However, these words infuriated Ji Chu-tsang. How could you be so strong without a single faction backing you? Forget it. Ji Chu-tsang-na sighed and stopped dwelling on this issue. She thought of Labelle and said sternly, you must release Miss Labelle immediately. Letting her be your maid may hurt the dignity of the various families in the underworld. It may even lead to war. Release her. Hearing this, Dustless's lips curled into a mocking smile. He teased, what if I don't release her? You. Don't push your luck. Figure out what kind of person is standing in front of you. Seeing how arrogant Dustless was, Ji Chu-tsang-na's family could not sit still. They had tolerated Dustless enough, but they did not expect this guy to be so arrogant. He did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Perhaps in the eyes of this group of people, the so-called Demon King is invincible. How sad, Dustless laughed inwardly. Not to mention a mere Demon King, even if 10 Demon Kings were stacked together, he would not be afraid. They were not existences of the same dimension at all. I don't care who you are. Remember this clearly. I hate it when people threaten me. I will not release Labelle. I will take her as my maid. If you want to use any means, feel free to do as you please. With that, Dustless closed his eyes and acted like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. He looked very shameless. It's rare to see someone as insensible as you. Ji Chutsang Na was not as irritable as the other family members. She was calm and did not beat around the bush. She went straight to the point. Miss Labelle is the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family. It's not appropriate for you to forcefully transfer her to be your maid. It's very likely that it will lead to unnecessary turmoil in the underworld. Ji Chutsang Na's tone was wise and full of philosophy. Everyone could not help but agree with her. Everything she said was reasonable. However, Dustless was a lump of iron. He did not listen to her at all. As expected of Tsang Na. Her methods are indeed extraordinary. She's obviously trying to tell Dustless that taking Labelle as his maid is going against the entire underworld. She's using her power to oppress him and cast herself in a position where she is not involved. She's playing it very well. Riaz was genuinely impressed. Tsang's cleverness was well known. At the same time, Riaz looked at Dustless with a serious expression. She was looking forward to his answer. Facing the entire underworld, anyone would be afraid and choose to compromise. How boring. Shrimp soldiers, crab generals, whatever. Come at me all at once. I don't have to go door to door to find her. Even if you don't find it tiring, I do. Dustless stretched his body and gave an answer that no one expected. Although we're in the same world, I'm fundamentally different from you. I'll only repeat this for the last time. I'm as high as the sky is. I'm as strong as God is. Chapter 1279. In the face of such arrogant words, even someone as wise and calm as Takakona couldn't help but burst into laughter. Forgive me for being blunt, Ji Chitsang stared at Dustless for a long time, but he did not see any hidden depths or a place where there was a peerless master. Instead, it was very wretched, especially when Dustless's hands and feet were very unscrupulous when he sneaked up on Riaz. His mouth would even curl up into a wretched smile. If there was some saliva left, he would definitely be a weird uncle. In my eyes, you are just a despicable person who only knows how to take advantage of girls. Takakona mocked mercilessly. She originally wanted to settle this matter peacefully, but since Dustless didn't know what was good for him, then forget it. President is right. That's right, I can see it too. He is a wretched despicable person. Together with Huda Issei and the other two, they can form the Oku Four. Senior Ryath must have been deceived by this guy. What did he do to win Senior Ryath's favor? He must be a liar. Takakona's subordinates immediately started to criticize Dustless. They didn't like Dustless's arrogance from the start. Since Takakona had already started to criticize him, they wouldn't hold back. You guys, Dustless couldn't help but touch his chin when he saw this, and a mocking expression appeared on his face. Then why don't we have a duel? With a sly look on his face, Dustless suggested. Bring it on, who is afraid of you? Hearing the confidence in Dustless's tone, Takakona's subordinates weren't happy. They all rushed to agree to Dustless's challenge. Among them, Takakona's queen, Shinra Chuanji, was the most enthusiastic. So that you won't say that we are bullying you with numbers, I will fight you one-on-one. Shinra Chuanji stood out resolutely. Her bright eyes looked like she wanted to teach Dustless a lesson. Your looks are not bad, but your strength is not worthy of praise. Dustless ignored everyone and sighed. What did you say? Hearing that, Shinra Chuanji's eyes flashed with anger. Dustless actually dared to mock her in front of so many people. Shinra Chuanji's arrogant heart couldn't take it. As the subordinate of the Colt King Academy's president, there was no need to doubt his strength. Idiot, you're the one who challenged me. Don't regret it. Dustless chuckled to himself. Just as he was thinking about how to deal with Shinra Chuanji, he suddenly recalled a special skill of Hyodo Kazunari's. You asked for it. Dustless glanced at Shinra Chunji and slightly revealed his aura. A formless pressure enveloped Shinra Chuanji. Her expression changed drastically. An indescribable pressure suppressed her, causing her to break out in cold sweat. Ka ka ka. A crisp sound suddenly rang out, and the sky was suddenly filled with snowflakes. Ah! A few seconds later, Shinra Chuanji's shriek rang out, causing one's scalp to go numb. Looking straight at her, he saw that her clothes were all torn apart. TSK. Brother Hyodo's clothes disintegration is indeed a good skill. Dustless smiled evilly. At the same time, he comforted her, it's alright, Miss Shinra. You don't have to mind it. I promise I won't peek at you. However, is the topic of our competition about taking off clothes? Is the one who takes it off faster the winner? If so, I'm going to take off my clothes too. After saying that, Dustless ignored everyone's stunned gaze and started to take off his clothes. Dustless had obviously undergone special training. In just a blink of an eye, Dustless was only left with his underwear. Stop it right now. Shinra Chuanji exclaimed. She was shocked by Dustless's actions. Seeing that Dustless was about to take off his last piece of clothing, they would really be naked. Isn't this a stripping competition? Wuchen pretended to be at a loss and said, making everyone speechless. You! Shinra Chuanji glared fiercely at Dustless. She was so frustrated that she almost vomited blood. Although she did not have any evidence to prove that Dustless was the culprit, in this big room, who else would do such a thing other than Dustless? It was obvious who the culprit was. Then, are you still going to compete? Dustless shrugged and asked in a bored manner. He was hoping to have some fun with this group of people, but he did not expect that he would almost collapse after just a short while. Their ability to resist attacks was a little too weak. Competition. Hearing that, the faces of Zhuangna and the others darkened. They were filled with fear. If Dustless was a normal person and could compete fairly, they would not mind at all. However, Shinra Chuanji's tragic experience made everyone suspicious. If they participated in this so-called competition, they might end up like Shinra Chuanji. I have no interest in competing with you. You have to give me Miss Labelle today, or I will take other measures. Don't doubt my words. If you think I'm joking, you will not be able to bear the consequences. Zhuangna said straightforwardly to Dustless. She suddenly realized that there was no need for her to talk nonsense. Her sister was one of the 4 great demon kings. Was there a need for her to be afraid of an unknown clown? Are you planning to use force? Wu Chen said in surprise. At the same time, her face outlined a faint smile of a successful plot. If she could take advantage of this opportunity to take down Ji Chutsang, then her sister would definitely come out. To be honest, Wu Chen was full of expectations for the Demon King. Chapter 1280. In this world, creatures like demon kings were almost deified. They were the synonym of omnipotence, as though they could easily deal with anything in this world. Dustless, who did not believe in superstition, wanted to experience the might of the Demon King myself. Aren't you relying on your Demon King sister? Even she is going to be in trouble this time. Compared to the worried Rias, Dustless was laughing happily. I almost clapped my hands and laughed. The two of you. It's not appropriate for you to ignore me like this. A magic circle similar to the one Labelle used before appeared. Then, a frivolous, arrogant, and condescending voice sounded from it. This guy is, Riaz's face darkened. The smell of flames assaulted her face. The surrounding temperature immediately rose and a destructive aura filled the air. I don't need you to tell me who he is. Looking at his retarded hairstyle and his ability that is infinitely similar to Label's, I know that he is Label's brother. Am I right, Riaz? Dustless waved his hand and told Riaz that he already knew who this idiot with blonde hair who looked like a turkey was, even without the introduction. Label's brother was no doubt, Rizel Phoenix. What did you call me? Within the flames, a dissatisfied voice sounded. It was filled with endless anger, mixed with killing intent and hatred. Riaz. You didn't hesitate to offend the Phoenix family just for this perverted guy. Looking at Riaz with dissatisfaction, Rizel Phoenix stepped out of the flames. You said I'm perverted? Hearing that, Dustless's face was filled with ridicule. This playboy called him perverted, but he was the perverted demon. That was removed by my brother. If you want to find trouble, please go find Sazek's Jamonli. Riaz was unmoved. She purposely leaned into Dustless's arms with a blissful expression. Quite naughty. Seeing that, Dustless smiled. He knew that Riaz was purposely trying to piss off the fire bird. Dustless did not hold back. He immediately pulled Riaz into his arms. In front of Kangna, Rizel Phoenix, and the others, he lightly tapped her forehead. You too. Riaz and Dustless's intimacy, regardless of the occasion, immediately triggered the anger in Rizel Phoenix's heart. This was a blatant slap to his face. Originally, he was the one who pulled Riaz into his arms, but now it was Dustless. Every time he thought of this, Rizel would feel aggrieved. Because he was the young master of the Phoenix family, everyone was afraid of him. Even if he were to be cuckolded, he would be the one to be cuckolded. This was the first time he experienced this feeling that he had never felt before. His heart was broken. I want to participate in this competition too. Clenching his fist, Rizel Phoenix vowed, I still want to win back my sister. Does this idiot know how to speak after suffering a concussion? What does he take her sister for? Is she a commodity? Riaz was speechless. She could not help but rejoice for her future. Dustless's personality was a little weird, but at least he was reliable. After all, Riaz's strength was what she relied on. Even if he looked a little bad and a little too much, it was not a big problem. You don't have the chance to participate. Glancing at Rizel Phoenix, Dustless solemnly declared. You think I don't have the chance just because you say so? You think you're the judge? Rizel Phoenix sneered. He completely ignored Dustless's words and turned a deaf ear to them. Dustless looked at Phoenix in surprise and said without hiding anything, how smart. I'm the judge. Now I say you can go home and sleep. What did you say? Hearing that, Rizel Phoenix was enraged. His hair stood on end. Even the Demon King was not as arrogant as this guy. He actually dared to tell him to go home and sleep. This was ridiculous. Don't you understand? Because you're going to be eliminated now. Dustless calmly raised his leg and gathered a majestic flash. The extremely dazzling light made people instinctively take a step back. Lightspeed kick. A straight ray shot out. It was so fast that no living creature could see it. Just like its name, Lightspeed kick. Boom boom boom. The ground where Rizel Phoenix was standing was mercilessly kicked by Dustless. A deep scorched pit instantly appeared. The violent energy fluctuations caused the entire Cult King Academy to tremble. This guy is really a monster. He used the same move to crush Labelle's confidence last time. This time, it's Rizel again. If I'm not wrong, thinking of that, Riaz could not help but look at the dazed Chiqua Kangna. If she was not wrong, she would be the next unlucky one. The black pit on the ground was a shocking sight. It lingered in everyone's mind. Chiqua Kangna and the others were especially heavy. They had wanted to take Dustless for themselves. Now that the other party had displayed his super strong combat power, Chiqua Kangna and her family's impassioned hearts felt like they had been splashed with a bucket of cold water. Such a powerful monster was not something they could fight against. Hee, you want to defeat me? Stop dreaming. Do you think an ordinary person like you can understand the physique that the Phoenix family is proud of? It's impossible for you to defeat me with this kind of ordinary physical attack. Riser's shattered body was instantly repaired. He laughed arrogantly. As the saying goes, extreme joy begets sorrow. Before he could be arrogant for long, Rissel's laughter stopped. It was a tragedy in the blink of an eye. Chapter 1281. Originally, when Rissel was about to launch an attack to fight back, he felt that his body was not listening to him and was suppressed by some mysterious force. His knees could not be straightened, his face was stuck to the ground, and he looked up at Dustless sullenly. "Bastard, this is your doing, right?" Rissel Phoenix roared at Dustless, who was walking towards him. His mouth was wide open as if he wanted to swallow Dustless alive. It was extremely uncomfortable, and he felt that his head was about to explode. "You are not convinced?" Looking down at Rissel, whose eyes were red, Dustless glanced at him indifferently. Then, he immediately lost interest. It was really boring to fight such trash. "Let me go if you have the guts, I will definitely kill you." Rissel shouted stubbornly, and his furious tone was as if he wanted to die together with Dustless. Hearing this, a cold light flashed in Dustless's eyes, and he lifted his right foot again, and then ruthlessly stomped down. Boom boom boom. A hole appeared on the ground. Rissel's head was stomped into the ground by Dustless. He was like a bug that was being trampled on. The gap between us is like the gap between humans and God. Receiving a fatal blow, Rissel's teeth were all broken. "Bastard, put down Sir Rissel." Rissel's blessings glared at Dustless as they charged at him one after another. "Ah. It's really surprising that a trash like you has so many fans." "Hee hee, but it's a pity," Dustless said regretfully, and his eyes became colder. Without even moving his hands, Haoshiku Haki directly erupted. Boom boom boom. Monstrous majesty erupted from Dustless's body, as if he was the reincarnation of a god, and the whole world was affected, especially the sky above Horse King Academy. It was shocking, and it turned into a bottomless black hole, as if the sky had collapsed. Plop. Rissel's followers fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth, and without even moving their hands, they were all put down by Dustless. "Let go of my brother." At this moment, an anxious and clear voice was heard, followed by a series of messy footsteps. Dustless sensed that the voice was somewhat familiar. He turned around and saw that it was Labelle, who was dressed as a maid. She was Rissel's younger sister. "Master, please be magnanimous and let him go." Knowing how terrifying Dustless was, Labelle put on a submissive expression and spoke in an ingratiating tone. Labelle? Why did you become like this?" Rissel's eyes widened as he looked at Labelle in disbelief. She was dressed in maid attire and had a fawning expression on her face. "Let him go." "Of course, no problem." Hearing this, Dustless completely retracted his aura, retracting his foot from Rissel's head. Dustless stared at Labelle for a while, then lifted her jade-white chin and blew a breath of hot air into her ear. "But your brother wants to kill me. This kind of person is too dangerous. It's not impossible for me to let him go, but you have to compensate me for my loss, understand? Miss Labelle." After Dustless said this, everyone's gaze was focused on Labelle's face. Everyone understood what Dustless meant. Labelle was shocked. Her face was flushed red, and she looked rather cute. The only disappointing thing was that she was scared out of her wits. She naturally understood what Dustless meant. "Kid, you better get this straight. She's my sister, and she's my relative. Let me tell you, without my permission, she won't marry anyone." Rissel shouted angrily. At the same time, he felt even more aggrieved. "Hee hee. Isn't this better? If your sister becomes my woman, even if you cause trouble in the demonic realm in the future, there will be someone to settle it for you. Don't you want to have a demonic king as your backer?" Dustless tempted with a smile. His words made Ji Tsuzang's expression change. The underworld was only so big, and there were already 4 demonic kings. Moreover, Riaz's brother was one of them. If there was another one now, there would be no peace in the future. The strong preyed on the weak, and resources were the exclusive rights of the strong. Gulp. Rissel Phoenix choked. His ferocious expression suddenly calmed down, and his eyes flashed. It was undeniable that what Dustless said was the truth. If they could rope in such a super strong person, it would only be a matter of time before the Phoenix family rose to power. I agree to Master's conditions, but you have to let my brother go first. LaBelle could only compromise. In the face of absolute power, no matter how much she struggled, it would all be for naught. I've been waiting for you to say that. Hearing that, Dustless let out a carefree smile. His eyes were looking at LaBelle's hot body. Just as he was about to swallow her alive, he suddenly heard a piercing voice. I object. Ji Tsuzang stood up and said resolutely. You object? You want to meddle in my business? Just you. Don't be so full of yourself. Dustless snorted. There was a hint of mockery in his tone. If you want to fight me one-on-one, at least call that demonic king sister of yours over. It's best if you don't try to anger me. Otherwise, you'll end up worse than Rissel. At the same time, LaBelle used a magic circle to send her brother, Rissel, and a few of his family members back to the underworld. It would only take a few minutes for them to go back and forth, so they did not dare to delay. After that, LaBelle elegantly walked up to Dustless in her maid uniform. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, she took the initiative to undress Dustless. Seeing this, not only were Kangna and her kin panicking, even Riaz, who had been calm all this while, had a frozen expression on her face. Is this guy planning to do that in front of us? These are the teachers of the Chariot King Academy. Chapter 1282. This guy definitely doesn't care about me, his fiancée. He actually dared to do such a dirty thing in front of me. Damned bastard, he doesn't know how to behave himself. Riaz clenched her teeth in anger. Dustless was humiliating her in front of her face. His fiancée was right here, and as her fiancé, Dustless was about to perform an erotic scene in front of everyone. Riaz only felt that she had lost all face. Master, are you feeling unwell? Libel half knelt on the ground with a charming smile on her pretty face. Her youthful body was emitting a mature charm, and her entire body was emitting a sexy aura. Looking into Libel's eyes, Dustless had a crazy thought of taking her for himself. Some people would act pitiful to make others feel pity for them. Some people would only arouse the hidden ambition in the depths of others' hearts. Right now, Dustless was such a person. He only wanted to trample on Libel. His entire body was burning up, and his face was red as if he was poisoned. Veins were popping out on his forehead, and his breathing was accelerating. My entire body is feeling unwell. Hurry up and use your body to cool me down. Dustless's tone revealed a hint of irritation and impatience. He suddenly realized his thoughts. In the past, he was simply too naive and childish. His fist was bigger, and he could just snatch whatever he liked. There was no need to care about other people's feelings. This was the privilege of the strong. Yes, master. Libel's white jade-carved chin nodded slightly. She forcefully concealed the discomfort in her heart. Her slender hands gently undressed Dustless until a pair of underwear was revealed. Only then did someone jump out and yell for them to stop. Please stop before going too far. I am the president of the student council. As the president of the student union, she couldn't tolerate this kind of thing happening. However, Dustless did not pay attention to her and directly ignored her. Dustless directly pulled Libel into his embrace and treated everyone else as air. Opening his mouth, Dustless roughly captured Libel's thin lips, and his kiss became even more intense. Only when Libel couldn't bear it anymore and was about to suffocate did Dustless stop. Everyone, is it really alright for you all to watch me and Labelle do that sort of thing? Dustless asked as he stroked Ribel's hair. You're the one who should be paying attention. Ji Tsuzang was on the verge of going berserk. The devil chi in his entire body was already leaking out. If it wasn't for Dustless's strength, he would have already gone up and killed him. So what if I don't pay attention? Dustless was extremely arrogant and did not put Ji Qichang in his eyes at all. I can tell you clearly that I will not listen to your orders. Don't rely on your sister's reputation. If you have the guts, then fight me. After saying that, Dustless's chakra vibrated, and his remaining clothes were torn apart. He looked at Labelle, who was kneeling on the ground, mockingly. Yes, master. I understand what you mean. Labelle moved closer to Dustless and obediently nodded. Gulp. Gulp. Dustless narrowed his eyes and carefully savored the softness of Labelle's mouth. He could not help but moan in pleasure. A pair of adulterous couple. Ji Qichang cursed. His tightly clenched fists had dense bulging veins. Dustless was actually doing such a shameless thing with Labelle in broad daylight. Especially when Labelle's face was filled with curiosity and had the expression of a child eating a lollipop. Ji Qichang was in an uproar. Dustless patted Labelle's head and gently said, "Take it slow. There's no need to rush, Labelle." Then, he looked at Ji Qichang and suddenly mocked, "You think Labelle is very cheap. You don't have the qualifications to criticize others. At the very least, she doesn't need to rely on others to survive. She is self-reliant. I like this kind of girl more." "Really? Master?" Labelle's heart was filled with warmth. Dustless's image in her heart was instantly elevated. Of course. Dustless gave her a look of praise and appreciation. Hearing this, Labelle was even more touched. Her actions became even more attentive. If Labelle had some resistance towards Dustless before, then she was completely loyal now. Originally, Dustless still felt some pain. This was also the reason why Labelle's technique was not very good. After all, it was her first time. However, when Labelle heard Dustless's words just now, she was extremely touched. The barrier in her heart completely disappeared. Motivated and moved, Labelle worked even harder. As expected, women are meant to be coaxed and tricked. Dustless said proudly. It was also at this moment that a torrential magic fluctuation descended from the sky. Dustless subconsciously used a move to counterattack. Binding Path 81, Sky Shattering. A transparent defensive barrier appeared. It was as thin as a cicada's wing and crystal clear. What's the use of this trash? Ji Qichang, who had launched the surprise attack, said disdainfully. Just don't cry when you lose. Dustless said with a faint smile. He was extremely bored as he rubbed Labelle's golden hair. At this moment, she had completely entered a state of selflessness. She turned a deaf ear to everything around her and worked hard for Dustless. Idiot, you've been poisoned quite badly. Riaz sighed. She knew that a young girl in her prime had become Dustless's slave. Although she felt that it was a pity, Riaz did not mind. She knew that this was only the first. There would be more people falling in the future. With invincible strength, a handsome face, and a mouth that specialized in tricking women, Riaz knew that her supernatural research department would sooner or later become Dustless's harem headquarters. Boom! Boom! At the same time, the majestic magic crashed into the barrier. The originally crystal-clear defensive barrier was instantly corroded and formed a layer of ice. As expected, you can't even withstand a single blow. Ji Qichang curled his lips and shouted, "Break for me!" Ka! 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 The ice did indeed break. However, what Ji Qichang could not believe was that Dustless's barrier was still intact. Chapter 1283. Chok Kang Na was shocked. She did not expect the barrier that was only as thick as a piece of paper to be so hard. the chances of it being shaken were 0. Her Weibo could not do it at all. Miss Chokang Na, you were the one who attacked me this time. Dustless said with a playful smile. His words sent Chokang Na straight to hell. She felt cold all over and lost her most basic senses. She was hit hard. Her full-strength attack could not even break through a barrier in front of Dustless, let alone defeat him. Now it's my turn to fight back. Staring at Chokang Na's naked body, Dustless was not in a hurry to make a move. He seemed to be observing where to attack. Just scare her a little. There's no need to do it for real. Riaz pulled on Dustless's clothes, hoping that Dustless would dismiss the idea in his mind. Of course, I'm just scaring her. I'll stop when it's time to stop her from finding trouble with me in the future. You don't have to worry about this, Riaz. Dustless rolled his eyes. Stop when it's time. Hearing that, Riaz rolled her eyes at Dustless. She could not help but complain in her mind, who knows what you mean when it's time to stop when it's time. Then, staring at Chokang Na's body for a few seconds, Dustless teased, as punishment for attacking me, I'll first strip off your clothes and tie you up for 3 days. Are you crazy? Chokang Na panicked. She did not even dare to pick up her glasses when they fell to the ground. It was not that she was timid, but the moment Chokang Na picked up her glasses, she would be tied up naked for 3 days. She did not dare to doubt Dustless's strength at all. This soft girl looks strong on the outside, but she's actually very weak on the inside. Seeing this, Wu Qin smiled, and the corner of his mouth swept up a wicked smile. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Dustless turned into a flash of light and attacked. He appeared behind Chokang Na without any warning and tore her clothes apart. Crack crack crack. Her smooth and delicate skin was exposed to everyone's eyes. Fortunately, there were no other men here, only Dustless was able to feast his eyes on her. Ah! An earth-shattering scream resounded through the entire sky. Chi Dukong was on the verge of collapse, and his face was lifeless. I won't let you go, never. Ji Chuezong gritted his teeth and said. His teeth creaked as if they were about to break. Is this what you meant by not going overboard? If you knew this would happen, you might as well have killed her. Sai, Tsang will also hate me now. Really, why is this troublesome person my fiancé? She knew that Tsang Na's elder sister, Leviathan, was a Siscon, and this meant that they had offended a demon king. Bastard, who the hell hurt my cute little sister? In the depths of the clouds, a thunderclap exploded. The entire world was silent, and not a single sound could be heard. No one dared to defy that supreme voice. I'm sorry, I only played a little game with your sister. Dustless touched his nose embarrassedly and said, she attacked me. I just want to strip her naked for 3 days. There shouldn't be any problem. After all, it's your sister who attacked me. It shouldn't be too much to punish her a little. Even if you're a demon, you have to be reasonable. Chapter 1284. Is this just a small punishment? Strip the Demon King's sister naked for 3 days, even if you have 10 heads, it won't be enough to appease Seraphil Sidi's anger. Riaz said angrily, her ferocious eyes wanting to bite Dustless to death. This guy is not afraid of the Demon King, he's obviously deliberately angering Seraphil. Huh? You want to strip my lovely sister naked for 3 days? That's a good idea. Are all young people nowadays so playful? A girl with a plump figure descended from the sky, the breeze blowing gently, her twin ponytails swaying back and forth, coupled with her white face, was particularly cute. The girl, like Asana, has purple dreamy eyes, bright eyes, white teeth, and a proud cleavage that almost bursts out of her clothes. Dustless, who has become more and more shameless, immediately opened the Tensigan and used that perverted insight to spy on Seraphil. In the near future, I'll have a sister-in-law duo like Eulifia and Lise. Who would have thought that the heavens would be in such a hurry to kiss my ass and send me another sister-in-law duo? TSK TSK. Since the heavens are trying so hard to kiss my ass, then this world won't be destroyed. Dustless secretly decided to give up this world once. Whether it was the world of Naruto, One Piece, or the world of Shinigami, almost all of them were ruined by Dustless in the end. Great! Under the vision of the Tensigan, Seraphil was almost naked. Dustless saw it clearly. Dustless can't find the slightest fault, the only flaw is that the girl's face is full of violent murderous intent at the moment. You want me to reason with you? Young man, are you kidding? Or are you not awake? Have you ever seen a reasonable demon king? Seraphil's face was full of arrogance, a demon king talking to a little pawn, this is Dustless's honor. And, you are definitely the most courageous human I have ever seen. Staring at Dustless with a wretched smile on his face, Seraphil sneered, since I arrived just now, you have peeked at my, Ueshiong, tribe 10 times, great, Uere, tribe 20 times, and, speaking of this, Seraphil's face flashed with an unnatural blush, and she subconsciously closed her legs. She stared at Dustless's right eye strangely. That magical eye seemed to be able to see through things. She felt that her most secret place was exposed to Dustless's eyes. He couldn't help but feel awkward. This kid looks pretty good. Staring at Dustless's face, Seraphil's beautiful eyes glowed. The young man's face was like a crown of jade. His 2 large eyes were like the stars in the sky, sparkling. His messy black hair was as black as ink, and his beautiful hair danced in the wind. Dustless's temperament was also extremely extraordinary, and he looked much more mature than his appearance. However, you actually dared to bully my sister. Even if you are Sazak's future brother-in-law, I won't let you off easily. Seraphil's lovely temperament changed drastically, and she suddenly exuded the demeanor of a ruler overlooking the world. It gave off a domineering feeling of supremacy over all living things. Buzz buzz buzz, everyone felt the absolute oppression. Their bodies were all bent, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. They couldn't help but show fear and panic. Ah la la la, what's there to be afraid of about this little girl who looks like she's about to explode? This sentence instantly petrified everyone. Their gazes coincidentally turned to the source of the voice. Even if I'm handsome, you don't have to look at me like that. Dustless said, embarrassedly, but there was a smug smile on his face. Obviously, he did it on purpose. What did you call me? Seraphil's cheeks swelled up like a hydrogen balloon and turned red. Kid, say it again if you dare. Riaz almost broke down. She suddenly felt that she was very unlucky to have such a terrible fiancé. Are your ears that bad? I'll repeat it for the last time. Respected and lovely Miss Devil King, I'm calling you a little girl. Hearing that, the entire scene was silent. Everyone was shocked by Dustless's words. Forcibly suppressing the rising waves in her heart that wanted to strangle Dustless, Seraphil asked again, you know that I'm the Devil King, and you still dare to call me a little girl. I do know that you're the Devil King, but so what? Dustless looked at her as if she was an idiot. Good kid, you've got guts. You wanted to strip Tsang Na naked for 3 days? I'm going to strip you naked for 30 days. Seraphil said angrily. She felt like her lungs were about to explode. Is that so? What a coincidence, Dustless pursed his lips. Under everyone's gaze, he said something shocking, I also want to strip you naked and just look at you naked. That's too boring. After stripping you naked, I'll treat you as a trophy and have a pleasant sex drive. I thought you were young and ignorant, but now it seems that you're a complete idiot. I'm afraid you don't even know how to spell the word death. You also don't understand what the Devil King means to this world. Seraphil shook her head, telling herself that there was no need to argue with a child. You're right. I really don't understand what the Devil King means to this world, but, an extremely terrifying aura spread out from Dustless. He said expressionlessly, you'll soon understand what I mean to this world. As a higher-level life form, after going through the baptism of several worlds, his strength had already reached an unprecedented level. It was very suitable to use a Devil King to establish his dominance. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. With that, Dustless's body turned into a dazzling light and rushed out, arriving behind Seraphil at the speed of light. She was still in shock and disbelief, as if she had not realized how Dustless disappeared. Chapter 1285. Shock flashed across Seraphil's pretty face. She didn't expect Dustless to be so fast. He was so fast that she didn't even have time to react. It was as terrifying as traveling through space. He disappeared from her sight like a ghost. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Feeling a chill behind her, Seraphil subconsciously turned around and saw a golden greatsword slashing down. In a moment of desperation, she hurriedly used a move to defend herself. A high-density ice barrier appeared above her head like a wall. Ka ka ka. It didn't look impressive, but the crude barrier she used at the critical moment was pretty good at defense. It instantly blocked the heavenly sword of clouds formed by the glint fruit. I have to say, I really underestimated you. Seeing that his attack was blocked, Dustless took a step back and put away the heavenly sword of clouds. Of course, you must have underestimated me. As soon as she said that, Seraphil regretted it. Dustless's tone was as if their positions had been switched. Dustless had become a peerless powerhouse, while she herself had become a rookie. Where was her dignity as the Demon King? Whoosh whoosh whoosh. With a gentle wave of her slender hand, numerous ice cones shot out like a shower. Seraphil's attainments in ice magic were extremely high. She used it with ease. As long as it was an ice magic attack, there was nothing she couldn't do. Seeing this, Dustless smiled sweetly. He didn't dodge or counterattack, as if he had accepted his fate and quietly waited for death to descend. You're so weak. Seraphil's crescent eyes flashed with doubt. She couldn't help but frown. Dustless didn't seem like the kind of person who would give up easily. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The ice cones pierced Dustless's body, but there was no bloody scene. It was as if he didn't exist. The ice cones simply filtered through Dustless's body. The injured area only emitted a faint golden light, which then quickly healed. What kind of heaven-defying ability is this? Ignoring physical attacks? Or can it heal all wounds? Seraphil's eyes stopped moving. She had seen countless mystical moves, but this was the first time she had seen such a strange move that defied common sense. It's just a small trick. Dustless gently shook his head. Then, with a glare, he crossed the distance in an instant and appeared in front of Seraph in the blink of an eye. The two were so close that they could even hear each other's breathing. It smells really good. Dustless was not in a hurry to attack. The young girl's body fragrance invaded his nose and ears without warning, causing him to be distracted for a moment. You are shameless. Hearing this, Seraph flew into a rage. She raised her hand and unleashed an earth-shattering attack. She was like an ice goddess, and all kinds of matter in the world turned into ice. The ground froze at an incredible speed, as did all the buildings around it. The Cold King Academy had turned into a palace of ice and snow. What a powerful aura! Surprise flashed through Dustless's eyes as his interest was piqued. Not only did Seraphil's sudden outburst not scare Dustless away, it even increased his arrogance. Aren't you proud? I'm going to crush your confidence and make you worthless. With a stern expression, Dustless's body was surrounded by an even greater pressure, temporarily suppressing Seraph's aura. His lips curled into a mocking smile as he took a big stride forward and pulled Seraph into his arms. Furthermore, he had shamelessly snatched away her first time. Boom boom boom. Carefully sensing the warmth on her lips that had not yet dissipated, Seraph's head exploded. She subconsciously touched her mouth. Dustless's lips tasted quite good, with an indescribable fragrance. This guy can't be a girl, right? Seraph doubted, then remembered that her virginity was taken away. The surging magic power turned into an endless ocean, shattering the sky. The clear sky disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only endless haze. Black clouds rolled, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. The endless thundercloud squirmed like a human heart. The scene was chilling and involuntarily distanced themselves from Seraph and Dustless. This guy really infuriated Seraph. Riaz was drenched in cold sweat. She knew that she had to choose a new fiancé because Dustless was about to fall. A demon king already had the power to destroy the world. A demon king burning with anger would only increase her power exponentially, and she would be far more powerful than usual. This bastard took away the barrier's virginity. Sang's eyes widened, and for a moment, even the fact that she was still naked was out of her mind. This is the price for infuriating me. Under everyone's fearful gaze, Seraph's body was unaffected by gravity for a moment, and slowly floated into the depths of the sky. With her appearance, it was as if the end of the world was coming, and the world was about to step into destruction. The world became deathly silent, and only suffocating despair was left in the world. Croak, croak, croak. The sound of a celestial body breaking was heard, and a bottomless black hole floated in the void, rapidly expanding and swallowing the entire sky. Since when did I become so strong? Seraph said in a daze as she looked at the black hole that swallowed dozens of kilometers in the blink of an eye. She could not help but be a little dazed. She did not expect such powerful strength to erupt from her anger. She suddenly felt that Sazax and the other demon kings were all jokes. Chapter 1286. Above the ninth heaven, the huge black hole continued to devour the surrounding sky, trying to annihilate the entire world. The unstoppable momentum seemed to pull the whole world into hell to be buried together with it. Really, why didn't I realize that I was so powerful before? Seraphil smiled, but in the eyes of the enemy, they couldn't help but shudder. Everyone took the initiative to distance themselves from Dustless for fear of being caught in the crossfire. Boy, if you can kneel down and beg me. Looking at the awe-inspiring Dustless, Seraphil couldn't help but feel curious. She still didn't know where Dustless's unshakable courage came from. Forget it, maybe some people are born with a one-track mind, and the ignorant are fearless. Seraphil was relieved, and a magnanimous look appeared on her pretty face. She said, if you are willing to apologize and take the initiative to strip yourself naked for 3 days, I can let bygones be bygones. While I'm in a good mood now, if you feel that you are late, maybe, I refuse. Glancing at Seraphil, Dustless simply responded and didn't say any more nonsense. Boy who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, you are courting death. Seeing this, Seraphil gently raised her hand, and suddenly an ice palm covered the sky. Seraphil's expression was cold, and a big hand containing high-density magical power fell from the sky with her anger. Extremely fragile. Bored looked up, and a ray of flame light appeared in her hand. It was a casual move, but the majestic and motionless ground was pulled by some mysterious force, and instantly became restless. The cool ground was suddenly filled with blazing heat, and a burst of crimson flame overflowed the ground. When the big ice hand was about to hit Dustless, he shouted, and a fiery red halo quietly emerged, and without warning, everything that came in contact with him instantly disappeared. Uchiha Flame Array. The explosion barrier, tens of meters high, rushed into the sky, and the seemingly invincible big ice hand disappeared without a trace in an instant. The heat of the flame barrier evaporated it. Not only that, but Seraphil herself was also attacked by the explosion. Aya! Seraph was shocked and angry. Her words were mixed with shyness. His cute uniform was burned by the high temperature, and his clothes floated in the air. You, Seraphil's eyes widened, and her twin ponytails stood up in anger. Her delicate face was flushed red, and her smile was bewitching. But what was tragic was that she was so angry. How can this guy be so shameless? Do you specialize in hitting other people's clothes? How could such a scum exist in this world? He is the public enemy of all women. Sifil was naked. Her nose was almost crooked from anger. She couldn't breathe properly and was panting heavily. Her graceful body was moving back and forth slightly. That soul-stirring curve made one's heart burn. She's getting worse and worse. Wu Qin sighed with emotion. He wasn't like this in the past. With a slight sway, the whole world passed through his eyes. Wu Qin announced loudly, "You women are all evil spirits who bring disaster to the world. For the future peace, I can only reluctantly catch all of you in one net and return peace to this starry sky. This guy is shameless." Ria's mouth twitched, and her whole face was about to cramp. It was the first time she saw someone as shameless and despicable as Dustless. He was clearly a pervert, and yet he was pointing fingers at others. Shameless. Kid, don't be so smug. You think this is over? I was careless just now. Seraphal's magic power surged, and she set off another apocalyptic attack. Blue magic power that was almost in liquid form overflowed from her body and rushed into the sky. It froze the endless void, and a large ice continent floated in the sky. The sun was blocked, and the light that shone down from the sky was blue cold air. Seems very strong. Dustless said with interest, but his eyes were fixed on Seraphal. His eyes were shining, and it was clear that the naked body was stronger than the apocalyptic attack. Die for me. Seraphal, who was furious, could not take it anymore. She felt that she had lost all dignity and face, and was being played around by Dustless like a clown. Using all her strength, Seraphal threw the ice continent at Dustless. Do you have to be so angry? I just took a look. I didn't even touch it. Dustless spat in dissatisfaction. At the same time, blue materialized chakra appeared from his body and rose hundreds of meters into the air. A behemoth wearing a Tengu helmet and heavy armor appeared. The giant's head reached the sky and its feet stepped on the ground. Its two eyes, which were bigger than a human's head, looked disdainfully at the common people. It stood silently on the ground, and the vicissitudes of life from its body seemed to have crossed time and space from ancient times. The giant had not made a move, but the people who saw it had already collapsed. Their inner confidence shattered piece by piece, and could no longer be healed. The gap between a man and a god could not be made up by pure effort. Looking at the incoming ice block, Ken Susanu's perfect body unsheathed the long sword in his hand. Puchi. A thick cold light fell from the sky, and with a swing, everything was over. The ice, which was 10 kilometers long, was immediately split by an overwhelming force. The perfect body blew it up with a single strike. This gaze is so annoying. The defeated Seraphal locked onto Dustless, who was above Ken Susanu's head. That gaze that ignored all life made her feel particularly fragile. She would die if the giant gently poked her. Chapter 1287. Seraphal's beautiful eyes flashed with unwillingness. She was a demon king, yet she was being suppressed by an unknown character. Looking at the current situation, the fate of defeat was inevitable. She absolutely couldn't accept it. Still planning to struggle? Dustless frowned. He couldn't help but admire this woman's fighting spirit. An ordinary person's self-esteem would collapse upon seeing Ken Susanu's complete form. Struggle? Are you kidding? I'm one of the demon kings. Enemies can only howl at my feet. Seraphal stood up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws at Dustless, looking quite cute. You forced me to do this. I'll let you know the horror of a demon king. The magic power in Seraphal's body exploded in one go. Because she was good at using ice magic, the explosion was all transparent ice dregs. I remember that she's still young. It's already commendable for her to reach this level. Looking at the majestic magic power gathering in the sky, Dustless nodded in admiration. The ice meteorite ball, completely compressed from high-density magic power, floated above Dustless's head. It was as if Seraphal could make the ice meteorite ball fall with just a thought. Still so confident. Seeing Dustless's sloppy attitude, Seraphal couldn't help but get angry. She gritted her teeth and made the meteorite fall directly. If you do this, Chariot King Academy will also disappear, Sung said with an ugly expression. Sung said with an ugly face. As for Wu Chen, she ignored him. It's fine. Destroy it and build another one. Seraphil waved her hand. As long as she could get rid of Dustless, she would do anything. Allah Allah Allah. You have a lot of complaints against me. Looking at the meteorite falling from the sky, Dustless sighed softly. His whole body emitted an emerald light. What form is this? Everyone was astonished. Dustless suddenly emitted an emerald energy fluctuation. There were also a few spheres hanging behind him, ignoring the existence of gravity. He was like a god overlooking all living beings. Seraph, let's stop playing house. Even if you're tired of playing, you should stop fooling around. Dustless said softly, but he didn't expect these words to ignite Seraphil. Get your facts straight, I'm not a kid. Seething with anger, Seraph stomped her little feet in anger. As expected of a child. Only a child can be as willful as you. The several jadeite spheres behind Dustless were affected. They all turned into liquid and gathered in Dustless's palm. A strand of golden light lingered in his hand. Dustless calmly raised his right hand as he looked at the falling sphere. Golden Will Reincarnation Explosion. The golden light flew out from Dustless's hand and extended several thousand meters in an instant. Furthermore, due to the continuous transmission of chakra from Dustless, the Golden Greatsword's attack range grew larger and larger. It was as if the entire world was a live target for Dustless. Puchi. The towering meteorites were as fragile as cabbage and tofu. They were cut into two hemispherical spheres by the Golden Greatsword. How is this possible? Seraph exclaimed, her eyes dazed. This is the truth. Countless photons floated in front of Seraph, and Dustless appeared with the golden sky cloud sword in his hand. That's it. Next, it's time to enjoy my spoils. Seraph panicked when she heard this. She exhausted the remaining magic power in her body and was about to run away when Dustless's sudden words discouraged her. The large amount of magic power gathered at the soles of her feet also disappeared. You may be able to escape, but your sister, she. Hee, you know what I mean. Wu Chen threw a coquettish wink at Seraphil and said with a smile, with a shameless expression. Can't a despicable guy like you have the magnanimity of a powerhouse? What's the point of bullying someone else's family? Seraph was at her wit's end and could only attack Dustless verbally. She sneered. Do you think a person like you would bully ordinary, weak people? Hearing this, Dustless smiled and said nonchalantly, go ahead and scold me. I'll take my revenge on your sister later. She can't run away anyway. You. Seraph's face darkened. She had hoped that Dustless would regain his integrity and give up the despicable tricks of threatening people. Who would have thought that Dustless was completely hopeless? Not only did he not feel the slightest bit of shame, he became more and more enthusiastic. What do you want? Say it, and I'll definitely agree. Seraph gritted her teeth and said calmly, displaying the demeanor of a female nouveau riche. Hee. I don't care about those materialistic things. Treasures are no different from floating clouds to me. Dustless shook his head resolutely. He stared at Seraph's pretty little face and said maliciously, what I want is very simple. There are only two things, far away on the horizon and right in front of me. Seraph frowned and looked around instinctively. There was almost nothing around her that was worth her attention. I don't understand what you're saying. Please explain yourself. Could it be? Scoundrel. A fiery hostility flashed in Seraph's eyes. She stared at Dustless's wretched smile and immediately understood what he wanted. The magic power in her body that was about to be exhausted once again erupted to an unbelievable degree. Stop. Seeing this, Dustless darted to Seraph's side and grabbed her tender white arm. He said coldly, I advise you not to struggle before death. Pointing at the giant black hole in the sky that had yet to expand, Dustless said mercilessly, "I forgot to tell you that the energy that tore the sky apart was not created by you. It was created because I didn't control my power well." Chapter 1288. The black hole in the sky was created because I didn't control my power well. In the next few minutes, Seraphile's mind was filled with this sentence. She was already wondering how her power increased so much that she could easily break the world. It turned out that all of this was caused by Dustless not controlling his power well. This guy must be a god. Hearing this, Riaz and the others were very certain. They all looked at Dustless in shock, their faces full of fear and fanatical worship. In a world where strength was everything, the strong were the targets of everyone. Riaz's eyes were also filled with worship and admiration. "Bastard, what an unlucky year. You've been possessed by the god of misfortune." Compared to the happy Riaz, Kanna was different. Her white face turned black, and her tightly clenched fists were covered in sweat. Offending a great god for such a trivial matter, Zhang's intestines were green with regret. It was impossible to turn back now. There was no way out other than accepting Dustless's conditions. "You don't seem to be willing." Dustless looked at the struggling Seraphile as his tone was full of ridicule. "Let Kanna go, and I'm willing to listen to all your arrangements." Seraphile could only take a step back. She didn't want to get involved in this. "That won't do. You are all mine." With a straight face, Dustless said stubbornly, "You didn't forget what you said before. Have you ever seen a reasonable demon king? Do you think I need to reason with you now?" Seraphile opened her mouth, but she couldn't think of anything to say. She didn't even reason with Dustless just now. Why would he talk about morality with her now? "Not only you and your sister Kanna." Looking past Seraphile, Dustless stared at Kanna's blessings and said savagely, "Her blessings are also mine." Seraphile, who lost her balance, almost fell. She said angrily, "This is a bandit's agreement." "Bandit? Then I'll be a bandit for once." Dustless said with a ferocious expression. "You can be lawless, but why should I follow the rules?" "I don't need to follow your rules. I won't even look at them." "Ah!" Seraph screamed in horror. She suddenly realized that she was being held by a pair of big, hot hands, and she could hear heavy breathing. "What do you want?" Choking with sobs, Seraphile looked straight into Dustless's scarlet eyes. There was clearly some kind of desire flowing in them. She was so scared that her face turned pale, and her nerves reflexively retreated. However, Dustless's thin and weak arm was as heavy as 1,000,000 kilograms. Not to mention breaking free, it was difficult to even shake him. "By the way, Riaz seems to be the fiancé of this rude beast." Something flashed in the corner of Seraphile's eyes as she said, "If I'm not wrong, Riaz should be your fiancé, right? Don't you want to consider Riaz's feelings? If she doesn't mind, I don't mind either." Seraph mustered up her courage and said in a tone that even 100 bulls would not be able to pull her back, "If Riaz doesn't mind us doing that in public, I don't mind either. Not only that, I'll even do all kinds of positions that you like to please you." "Idiot, you took the bait yourself." Hearing that, Dustless chuckled and looked at Riaz frivolously. He asked, "My cute Riaz, do you mind?" Seraphile also looked at Riaz nervously. Riaz's answer would determine her fate. "Will you listen if I mind?" "It doesn't matter if I mind or not. Do whatever you want." Riaz was speechless as she looked at the stunned Seraphile. She was walking into Dustless's trap on purpose. Would a person who could destroy the world with a snap of his fingers listen to the arrangements of a little woman? Riaz knew Dustless's true thoughts. He might care about her, but it was impossible for Riaz to influence Dustless's will. He. "Then I won't hold back. You said you would do all kinds of positions to please me. If you dare to go back on your word, I'll go play with your sister." Dustless did not try to hide his intentions. His words were extremely explicit, and he did not care about Seraphile's feelings. He unleashed his powerful aura and pressed Seraphil down to the ground from the sky. Croc croc croc. Chakra vibrated. Dustless's clothes turned into snow. He did not set up any barriers to prevent anyone from peeking. He was enjoying himself. In Dustless's words, they were going to be on the same side in the future anyway. There was no need to be secretive. Time flew, and 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. After that day of tormenting Seraphil, she was willing to listen to all of Dustless's arrangements. She was also very obedient and did all kinds of positions that made one's heart race and face blush. Dustless had a lot of fun playing with her. Her only condition was to let Sang Na go for now. Even though Seraphil was forcing a smile, it was still the same sentence from before. Dustless was enjoying himself. Dustless did not think much at the time and agreed to Seraphil's condition on the spot. He told her that Sang Na was in the Horse King Academy, and her sister was one of his most loyal servants. He was not afraid of the little girl playing any tricks. Another boring school day. Sigh, in the classroom, Dustless was sleeping on his desk. He looked at the eloquent teacher on the podium and felt very conflicted. It seemed to be harder to deal with than a shadow-level fighter or a general. He was not interested in killing him. A normal human was not worth it. I have something to tell you. Riaz pushed Dustless's arm and whispered into his ear, Aisha doesn't have a place to stay at the moment, so I've arranged for her to stay at Junai's house. You and Aisha can switch rooms. You can sleep on the sofa. Chapter 1289. What? You want me to sleep on the sofa? Dustless's eyes widened as he looked at the serious Riaz in a daze. He never thought that he would end up like this, facing the danger of being chased out. Are you kidding me? This is a very serious question. I can't accept this condition. After being stunned for a few seconds, Dustless decisively retorted. Although his skin was thick, and it was the same no matter where he slept, being chased out by Riaz was not a good idea. It's cold now, it's easy to catch a cold. Dustless rubbed his nose as he complained unhappily. To be honest, he had been feeling a little unwell for the past few days. So I can catch a cold too. Dustless could not help but sigh as he noticed that his breathing was a little irregular. Looks like you really do have a cold, but there's no need to worry about such a small illness. Just take 2 pills and rest for a few days. Junai has an air conditioner in his house. If you feel cold at night, you can turn it on. Riaz was obviously a frequent guest at Junai's house, so she was very familiar with it. This stupid woman. She doesn't understand what I mean at all. Dustless was disappointed. He glanced at Riaz from the corner of his eyes and smiled meaningfully. Forget about the air conditioner, I need a considerate electric blanket. Electric blanket? Is that a popular thing now? Hearing that, Riaz was stunned. Her eyes were filled with confusion. She knew that Dustless was implying something, but she did not understand what he was talking about. Your comprehension skills are really bad. Dustless rolled his eyes at Riaz. He grabbed Riaz's hand and got straight to the point. The electric blanket I need is different from the normal ones. Not only can it dissipate heat, but the most important factor is that it can warm up my sad mood of being chased out of the sofa. Simply put, it's a human body electric blanket. Electric blankets are so weak, they're too outdated. Not only can the human body electric blanket warm up the bed, but it can also warm up the fragile heart. When necessary, it can even be used for sex. It's an omnipotent weapon. It was close to evening, on the path home. Achoo! Wu Chen sneezed uncontrollably, and his expression was somewhat dispirited. You can catch a cold. Zhu Nai looked at Dustless suspiciously and took the initiative to put some distance between them. How could someone who could easily defeat the Demon King get sick? He instinctively felt that the person in front of him was impersonating Dustless. What the F***ck? Didn't they say that patients should be warmly cared about? Everyone cares about you. Why is it that when it comes to me, it becomes a trick. Everyone chases me away. Dustless cursed madly in his heart. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He suddenly felt that he was incomparably miserable. I'm sure that this is Dustless. I will never forget the smell on his body. The blonde girl's face flushed red. She looked very shy, but her eyes were full of courage. She took the initiative to stand beside Dustless. If I'm wrong, the two of you have met less than 5 times. Why are you so familiar with each other? Hearing Isha testify for Dustless, the doubts in Zhu Nai's heart disappeared. It's because you didn't care about me, okay? That's why you didn't notice such a small detail. Dustless looked at Zhu Nai speechlessly and shook his head. That's right. To make it up to you, I'll make you a sumptuous meal today. When Dustless and the other two came out of the supermarket and rushed home, the sky was already dark. About 4 hours later, Zhu Nai finally finished cooking dinner, but it was very sumptuous. Dustless ate with grease dripping from his mouth. The way he wolfed down the food made it hard to associate him with a powerhouse. Those who didn't know better might even think that he was a beggar who hadn't eaten for days. Eat slowly. Drink some water. Don't choke. Isha handed him a glass of water like a little wife. She was much gentler than Zhu Nai, who was watching the show with his hands on his cheeks. Era. Don't look at me with such resentful eyes. I'm not Ria's, nor am I a member of your harem. Leave this to Isha. Zhu Nai looked at him innocently. His words made Isha's face turn as red as a ripe apple. Isha, glaring at Zhu Nai, Dustless thought to himself, you're not one now, but you'll be one in the future. Even if you don't want to do it, I'll forcefully conquer you. After slandering Zhu Nai in his heart for a while, Dustless looked at Isha. His skin was thicker than ever. Isha, why don't we do this? We're very familiar with each other anyway, and our relationship isn't bad. If you come, I'll have to sleep on the sofa. I've caught a cold too, and I'm sure you don't want to see me sleep on the sofa alone. So, why don't we make do for the time being and squeeze into a bed? I'll move out when Zhu Nai gives me his wallet. Dustless said shamelessly, completely ignoring Zhu Nai's expression of looking at a rascal. Pfft. Zhu Nai spat out all the water he just drank. He secretly gave him a thumbs up. This was a good reason. Hearing that, Isha's face turned even redder, almost bleeding. She looked at Dustless in embarrassment, nervously pinching the corner of her clothes. Her eyes were changing, and it was obvious that she was still hesitating. I'm just one step away. Seeing that, Dustless laughed secretly, and then pretended to be sickly. His expression was very similar, and even his temperament was filled with a sickly feeling. He kept sneezing. Dustless looks very sick. Let's squeeze into a bed for the time being. Besides, that's your room, so it's my fault. Chapter 1290. Do you want to share a bed with me? Zhu Nai's white skin flushed red. Looking at Isha's innocent and pure little face, she obviously believed Dustless's words without any doubt. She couldn't help but curse Dustless in her heart. Remember, Isha is only 15 years old. Isha, don't listen to his nonsense, there are still many empty rooms in the house, I will go down and clean them up later. This guy obviously has bad intentions, and his motive is not pure, according to my guess, he wants to take advantage of you. Zhu Nai bluntly exposed Dustless's purpose with her hands on her waist. This guy's speed is too fast. Dustless looked at Zhu Nai with resentment in his eyes, and finally sighed. After Zhu Nai's disturbance, his inner thoughts faded away. I will remember this for the time being, hee. In the future, I will take it back with interest. Glancing at Zhu Nai from the corner of his eyes, Dustless stared at her delicate little face, and a look of lust and infatuation flashed in his eyes. There is still a long time in the future, there is no need to rush. In an old room, Dustless stared at the hazy moonlight outside the window in a daze. His eyes were empty, and no one knew what he was thinking. Zhu Nai, since you arranged for me to sleep here, I might as well sleep on the sofa in the living room. Looking around at the surrounding environment, ripples appeared in his eyes. Wu Qin complained discontentedly. This was a room for storing groceries, and it was also his temporary residence. I can't sleep. Dustless tossed and turned on the bed for a full hour, but he still couldn't fall asleep. If I want to sleep, I need to find someone to help me. The eyeballs were rolling and soon turned into a scarlet five-pointed star, which was also Wu Qin's eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The void also began to gradually separate, and ripples visible to the naked eye spread. Kamui. His eyes slightly widened, and a girl with revealing clothes, a hot body, a pair of black wings, and purple pupils fell out of the void. Yo, my cute Ashima-chan, TSK, don't look at me with such murderous eyes, you should be grateful to me for letting you live until now, right? The purple extraordinary girl released from Kamui is a Monoshima. At the same time, Dustless also set up a transparent barrier in the room to prevent the outside world from noticing. I will kill you. His plan was destroyed by Dustless. Monoshima was filled with resentment, his little hand shook, and a sharp spear of light appeared in his hand. You still don't understand the situation. Looking at Monoshima, Dustless lightly raised his hand, and a small black hole appeared on his palm. 10,000 mammoth heaven pull. The gravity shrouded the room. Monoshima's body suddenly lost control and fell towards Dustless. It was originally a powerful attack by Dark Cloud. However, due to the gravity's pull, Monoshima fell into Dustless's arms like a sheep. Seeing this, Monoshima's white jade-carved nose became crooked from anger, her little face was red, and the murderous aura in her bright eyes was more intense than before. Now, she was looking for Dustless to ask for more. TSK. Looking down at Monoshima from above, her beautiful body was completely exposed to Dustless's eyes. Am I going to be this guy's slave for the rest of my life? Monoshima clenched her fists, and blood came out of her gums. Everyone has their own favorite life, and she was no exception. Now that she was imprisoned by Dustless, that overwhelming power made Monoshima fall into despair. In front of Dustless, she was like a clown. Why don't we play a game? If you win, I'll let you go. Hearing this, Monoshima's heart shook, and the despair in her eyes shone brightly. She excitedly grabbed Dustless's hands. Are you serious? You can't go back on your words. Of course it's real, but there are conditions. Since it's a game, there must be a winner and a loser. If you lose, you have to use your mouth to lick every part of my body, and you can't let go of any part. A wicked smile appeared at the corner of Dustless's mouth, and he suddenly thought of a new trick. How can I do that? If that's the case, how am I different from your slave? Monoshima rejected him without even thinking. You're my slave to begin with. Hearing this, Dustless curled his lips in disdain, and took off his clothes, revealing his well-proportioned body. You have to agree even if you don't want to. Ricketless smiled cruelly, and under Monoshima's fearful gaze, he pushed her to the ground. What are you trying to do? I agree to play a game with you. Monoshima, who was scared to death, panicked. She did not expect Dustless to suddenly attack her. That's great. Dustless smiled cunningly, and no longer showed mercy. Pfft. Monoshima teared up from the pain. She did not expect Dustless's game to be such a thing, and her most precious thing was taken away from her in such a blurry situation. Let me reiterate the rules of the game. After clearing his throat, Dustless said in a wretched manner, if you can't hold on, you lose, and if I can't hold on, I lose. After saying that, Dustless started to work hard without caring about his safety. How can you be so shameless? Monoshima endured the discomfort in her body. She did not expect Dustless to be so barbaric, and the game he was talking about was obviously a disguised form of oppression, an unequal contract. Amano Shima was sure that she would be the one to lose in the end. Dustless's strength was there, and naturally, he was also ridiculously strong in that aspect. She could already see how she would look like when she licked Dustless's body. Chapter 1291. Time passed by quickly. Just as Amano Shima expected, she was defeated in the end. Compared to Dustless, who had unlimited stamina and energy, she was 1,000 miles behind. According to the agreement, Amano Shima had to fulfill the harsh conditions. Despite being defeated, Amano Shima still went back on her words and refused to follow Dustless's bandit treaty. However, in the end, she was no match for Dustless. She was too weak compared to Dustless. Be it illusions, physical attacks, or other abilities, Amano Shima could not be compared to Dustless. In the end, she had no choice but to compromise and accept Dustless's bandit treaty. Sigh. It's already midnight. It's time to sleep. I still have classes tomorrow. Wu Chen laid on the bedding with a lazy expression. Amano Shima had already left for 2 hours. His face still carried a bit of reluctance that had yet to disappear. Looking at the moonlight outside the window, Dustless pulled the bed lightly around 3 or 4 in the morning. Just as he was about to crawl into the bed, a dark red demonic light suddenly appeared in the room. A magic circle that Dustless was familiar with appeared on the ground. He could vaguely see fiery red hair. Lise? What is she doing in the middle of the night? Is she doing a spot check? Seeing this, Dustless temporarily stopped his sleepiness. He could not help but complain about Li's intentions. Let's see what kind of tricks you have up your sleeves. Dustless quickly closed his eyes. His breathing was stable and natural. His closed eyes looked no different from sleeping. Did I come to the wrong place? The girl's crisp voice was like the sound of nature. There was a hint of doubt in her voice. It was obvious that she was unfamiliar with the environment. This was obviously a storeroom where old furniture was placed. What is she trying to do? In the middle of the night. Out of curiosity, Dustless finally opened his eyes and secretly looked at Lise. Her perfect facial features outlined the girl's peerless beauty. Lise frowned slightly. There was a hint of doubt on her face. In her memory, Dustless did not live in a place like this. What's her goal? Seeing this, Dustless was even more puzzled. He guessed without hesitation, is she afraid that I will dislike her? Dustless could easily suppress and defeat the Demon King. In this world, how many people were worthy of him? And Riaz was just the sister of a Demon King, so it was normal for Dustless to have such thoughts. No matter what, we're going to be a family in the future. How dare you doubt my character? Since you're going to be my fiancé, I'll never leave you. Dustless muttered to himself as he looked at Riaz's sorrowful face. As if noticing Dustless's weak movements, Riaz stared at the sleeping man and quietly walked to him. Under the moonlight, Dustless's fair face was eye-catching. Riaz's thoughts stopped for a moment, and the world in her mind was filled with only one Dustless. This guy, thinking about Dustless's past, Riaz sighed softly. While the time they spent together was short, she knew Dustless very well. Invincible strength, handsome looks, and the confidence that he would never fail. Also, there was a domineering aura hidden deep in his soul. It all made people curious about where this guy came from. Riaz's face had a rare tinge of loneliness and self-deprecation. Dustless's strength was strong enough to suppress and even beat up the Demon King. There was no one in the world who could compare to him. And Riaz herself felt that she was not worthy of Dustless. After all, the gap between their strength was like a natural barrier that could not be crossed. This guy doesn't sleep well at all. He's like a child. Riaz realized that Dustless was no different from a child of a few years old. His body was even lying horizontally. Where did you come from? Are you really some unknown mysterious demon king, or the reincarnation of a god? With her hands on her cheeks, Riaz quietly observed Dustless's face. Her mind was running at full capacity as she began to think about the background of this person who could shatter heaven and earth with just a wave of his hand. I thought tonight was going to be boring, but it looks a lot more interesting now. Dustless's observation hockey expanded. Even with his eyes closed, Riaz's every move could not escape Dustless's perception. There must be something going on for her to visit in the middle of the night. Let's see what tricks you have up your sleeves. You're still far from being able to fight me. Just as Dustless was about to continue to pretend to be asleep, Riaz unexpectedly spoke first. The signs of pretending to be asleep are too obvious. Riaz's lips curled up into a sly smile and said, sometimes being too normal is the biggest flaw. You're acting so natural. To be honest, I'm very suspicious. After all, you're too different from how you usually are. I see. I'm too smart for my own good. Hearing that, Dustless opened his dark eyes, and Riaz immediately jumped into his sight. I say, Miss Minister, before you launch a sneak attack in the middle of the night and expose someone else's disguise, you have to give a reasonable explanation for your intentions. Dustless asked quietly. His expression was calm and extremely calm. Chapter 1292. There were only two possibilities for a sneak attack in the middle of the night. Either she really wanted Dustless and wanted to give herself to him, or something big happened. Am I the kind of troublesome woman who only comes to you to solve her problems? I'm so sad, Dustless. We are engaged. What's wrong with me coming to understand you in advance? Riaz made an aggrieved expression. Her excellent acting skills were unparalleled. Her eyes were filled with tears. That's so exaggerated. You're about to cry with just one sentence. The best actor or whatever is nothing compared to you. Dustless did not know whether to laugh or cry. He thought to himself that women were all made of water. How can my lovely Riaz be the kind of woman who only comes to you for trouble? That's just a rumor. In my heart, you're like the blood flowing in my body. Even if I have invincible strength, leaving you will only lead to death. Dustless smiled flatteringly. His flattery was very treacherous. Women were meant to be coaxed and tricked. Tell me, why is your mouth so sweet? It's like you've eaten honey. Did you do something dirty behind my back again? Riaz asked with a straight face and a very serious tone. On the surface, Riaz's arms around Dustless's neck were even stronger. She had already covered Dustless's entire face with her huge breasts. Of course not. Dustless denied it immediately. He felt a headache coming on to Riaz's intuition that seemed to have seen everything with her own eyes. That's not right. Why do I smell another woman in this room? Riaz looked at Dustless suspiciously. Her gaze became even deeper, as if she could see through a person's heart. Dustless's face was unnatural. He changed the topic and asked, "What's the matter in the middle of the night? Don't tell me you're really here to communicate with me and experience the feelings before marriage. If that's the case." Hee. You know what I mean, Riaz. Dustless smiled ambiguously as he purposely raised a certain important part of his body, gently teasing Riaz's delicate legs. His face, however, had a mischievous smile. Riaz's face flushed red as she glared at Dustless. She no longer kept him in suspense and said, "My mother and father want to see you, their future son-in-law. They are very curious about your deeds. My brother Sazax is also very interested." Riaz revealed her intentions and looked at Dustless expectantly. So it's to meet the parents. Dustless was enlightened. He glanced at Riaz and nodded in agreement. He also yearned for the legendary underworld, especially Riaz's family. Moreover, it was inevitable for a son-in-law to meet his future mother-in-law. Ever since I forcefully took Eulifia away, we haven't met again, and she seems to be avoiding me. Sometimes, I would send someone else to inform Lise of something. In his mind, the beautiful girl in maid attire appeared again, and Dustless's eyes began to drift. I'm right in front of you, and you're still thinking about other women. Damn it. Riaz snorted in dissatisfaction as her hand reached for Dustless's waist, and then did a 360-degree turn. Ouch, that hurts. Dustless yelped in pain as he looked into Riaz's clear eyes, and said angrily in his mind, I can't say that I was thinking about having sex with your sister-in-law, Gulifia. Riaz, help me massage my back. Perhaps it was because Tianai and Shima had been fighting for too long, but Dustless felt a chill all over his body. Looking at Riaz, who was barely covered, he also lost interest. You really know how to enjoy yourself, Riaz shook her head. Despite her words, she very considerately followed Dustless's instructions. Time flew, and after a few hours, the sky in the distance was already turning bright. The warm light chased away the bone-chilling darkness, and everything was in a state of prosperity. Dustless, it's time for your morning exercise. The girl's crisp voice sounded like she was enjoying herself, and there was even the sound of footsteps going up the stairs. Oh no, it seems to be Aisha. Riaz immediately opened her beautiful eyes, and there was a flash of panic. She was still sleeping with Dustless in each other's arms. If Aisha saw this, it would be terrible. Hurry up and tell Aisha to stop outside and not come in. Riaz pushed the sleeping Dustless hard, hoping that Dustless would say something to stop Aisha. Let her be. Dustless turned his body, and with his back facing Riaz, a sly smile appeared on his face. Thinking of Aisha's weird personality, he couldn't wait for her to come in and catch them in the act. You. Riaz pointed her finger at Dustless, and looked at Dustless's unyielding face. She couldn't help but get angry, and a dark red magic wave appeared all over her body. Just as she was about to use the magic circle to leave, it was already too late. Bang! Aisha broke through the door, and Riaz, who was about to leave naked, came into view. Aisha, the minister and Dustless are really cunning, hiding it from Aisha. I want to join you guys. The weather had been a little hot recently, and Aisha didn't wear much, so she took off her jacket, revealing her naked body. Then, under Riaz's shocked gaze, Aisha jumped up and pounced at Dustless. Aisha, don't be so impulsive, what if you hurt yourself? Dustless saw this and quickly stood up. He was very excited, and his face was full of concern, afraid that Aisha would fall, but in his heart, he was thinking, damn, good jump. Chapter 1293. Of course, Riaz knew what Dustless was thinking. She naively thought that Dustless was afraid that Aisha would fall asleep. But seeing Aisha like this, she knew that this kid was doing it on purpose. Humph. Riaz let out a cold snort and swung her snow-white jade-like leg in a kick. Thud. Dustless's mind was focused on Aisha, and Riaz was also neglected by her for a moment. Caught off guard, Riaz sent her flying with a kick. Thud. Dustless's body finally landed on the wall, and Aisha was caught by Riaz. I was sent flying by someone's kick. Looking at Riaz in shock, Dustless couldn't seem to explain this result. He froze on the spot and didn't move. Looking back, he had already traversed 3 worlds, Naruto, Shinigami, One Piece. Along the way, Dustless had destroyed countless strong people with various methods. He didn't expect to stumble when it came to Riaz, even though it was his own carelessness that caused this disaster. Humph, you think you can just kick me? There's no such thing as that. Rubbing his sore left waist, he could still see Riaz's footprints. I'm about to go to the underworld. You kicked me, so I'll be merciful and let you go this time. This grudge will be transferred to your sister-in-law. Let her slowly atone for your sins. Dustless put on his clothes, and his evil smile disappeared. Inside the Supernatural Research Department of Chariot King Academy. The members who were usually away from each other more often than not also came. Dustless also gave Riaz's face, so he sat on the sofa in a daze out of boredom. He held a thick book in his hand and looked at it. Sometimes he would nod secretly, and sometimes he would show a thoughtful expression. He was very focused and serious, reading with great interest. Right now, only he and Zhu Nai were in the department. Everyone else had gone out to do their own things. Strange, this guy always sleeps in class. What kind of book is it that fascinates him so much? Out of curiosity, Zhu Nai tiptoed and walked behind Wu Chen. His footsteps were silent. Allah Allah Allah. Classmate Dustless, what book are you reading so diligently? Can you lend me, The History of the Workmouth Maniac? Zhu Nai looked at the exquisite pictures in the book in astonishment. All the pictures were not suitable for children. That guy Hyodo Issei forgot to take it. I was just about to burn it, but you actually came looking for me. Here you are. A hint of awkwardness flashed through Dustless's eyes as he hurriedly shifted the blame to Big Brother Cheng. After all, he was a world-renowned pervert. However, this book wasn't written by Dustless. He wasn't like Big Brother Cheng, who only knew how to fantasize. Speaking of which, when are we going to the underworld? Seeing that Zhu Nai was about to dig deeper, Dustless quickly changed the topic. I can't wait anymore. I want to pay a visit to Riaz's parents and brother. We will leave in a while. Riaz has something to do with President Song. She will leave when she arrives. Zhu Nai nodded slightly and looked at Dustless strangely. For some reason, she felt that Dustless was implying something when he mentioned Riaz's family. Oh right, how's Cheng's training going? Dustless tried his best to change the topic while hiding the history of the Workmouth Maniac. Him. Hearing this, Zhu Nai's eyes flashed with disapproval. She sighed and said, he's #1 in the school when it comes to women, but training is really hard for him. Dustless smiled but didn't say anything. The one who was training with Hyodo Issei every day was Kiba Yudo. It was no wonder that Hyodo Issei wasn't interested. He was already jealous of Kiba Yudo's strong and handsome aura. Now that he was forced to undergo forced training, he was very depressed. Zhu Nai, we, bzzz. Bzzz, before Dustless could finish his words, blood-red mana fluctuations spread out. Then, a silver-haired woman with an elegant temperament and a refined demeanor, wearing a maid uniform, emerged from the magic array. Gulifia? Dustless and Zhu Nai asked at the same time. Compared to Zhu Nai, who had expected this, Dustless was much more surprised. She knew that she would run into me if she went to find Riaz, but she still came to me. She's provoking me in a different way. Last time, Dustless forced Gulifia to go with him, and the two of them stepped into the clouds together. During that time, he tortured Gulifia so much that whenever she mentioned Dustless, she would feel nauseous. Now, she actually dared to show up in public. Dustless didn't expect her to do so. My lovely. Oh, no, my esteemed sister-in-law. The harsh words almost made Gulifia choke and fall down. Even if she covered it up perfectly, Dustless could still see the anger and embarrassment in her eyes. That was a slip of the tongue. I mistook you for Riaz. Gulifia clenched her teeth and cursed Dustless for being shameless. How could he make a slip of the tongue? And how could he mistake a living person? It was obvious that he did it on purpose. Don't worry about it. Just pay more attention in the future. Gulifia said calmly, as if she was seeing Dustless for the first time. I haven't seen you in a while, and your temper has gotten worse. Staring at Gulifia, who was like a saintess that he could only look up to but not touch, Dustless's eyes suddenly changed. His black pupils were swallowed by red light, and the 3 tomo in his eyes turned slowly. He then glared at Gulifia. This is, the world in Gulifia's eyes suddenly changed. The scene she didn't want to recall the most invaded her mind. The scene of her being F***ked by Dustless replayed in front of her eyes like a movie. Chapter 1294. Gulifia subconsciously looked at Zhu Nai. Seeing that her expression was normal, she breathed a sigh of relief. Presumably, she was the only one who could see Dustless tormenting her. It must be this guy's doing, definitely. Giliphia's teeth creaked, but she didn't dare to act up. Not to mention that she wasn't as strong as Dustless, she couldn't bring herself to talk about such an unbearable scene. "Miss Gilifia, are you here to pick us up?" Zhu Nai very warmly moved to Giliphia's side. It wasn't hard to see that the two had a good relationship. Well, a trace of bitterness flashed through Giliphia's eyes. In truth, she didn't want to come, but who would have thought that her cheating husband, Sazax, would insist that she come to pick up Dustless and the others. He was pushing his wife to someone else's bed. "Yes. Go tell Riaz's family to get ready." Gilifia answered elegantly, her every move exuding an air of nobility. Phew, seeing this, Dustless's eyes glowed. The possessiveness in his eyes was almost tangible. Dustless had seen countless beautiful women. His harem was full of beauties. But someone like Gilifia, whose every move was elegant and graceful, was rare. Her unique elegance was like a powerful aphrodisiac, bewitching Dustless's nerves. "I'll go find them now." Zhu Nai nodded lightly, then turned into a gust of wind and left. Only Gilifia and Dustless were left in the paranormal research department. "Don't force my hand." Gilifia was the first to attack. Her murderous intent exploded, and her majestic mana pressed down on Dustless like a mountain. "Don't use your child-beating skills on me." "Boring." Dustless leisurely walked to the sofa and sat down. Gilifia's pressure had no effect on him at all, not even the most basic of intimidation. "With your strength, you're still far from being able to defeat me. The difference in strength between a high-level creature and a low-dimensional creature isn't something that can be made up for by hard work alone. I can see that your magic power has increased sharply recently. You must have gone through a lot of hard training." Dustless immediately noticed Gilifia's strange behavior and gave her an appreciative look. "Gilifia, you've worked hard, but some things are destined. Just like the sun rising from the east, some things can't be violated. That's all you'll get if you follow Sazax all your life." "What are you trying to say?" She had to admit that Dustless was right. The gap between them wasn't something that could be overcome with hard work alone. Ah. You still don't understand. I've already said so much." Dustless sighed and walked up to Gilifia. He lifted her chin with his thumb and said frankly, "It's simple. Be my woman, and I can give you power comparable to a god." Gilifia felt as if she'd been electrocuted. Recalling how Dustless had ruthlessly ravaged her, she opened her mouth to refuse, but her throat seemed to be choked by an invisible hand. She couldn't speak at all and could only stare blankly at Dustless. "Silence means you're agreeing." With a gentle smile, Dustless casually pulled Gilifia into his arms. "No, I'm not agreeing. You're cheating." Coming back to her senses, Gilifia struggled with all her might. Powerful magic waves broke out of her body as she tried to push Dustless away with her own strength. But she was destined to be disappointed. Dustless's body was like glue that stuck to Gilifia's body. She couldn't push him away no matter what she did. Just what kind of monster is this guy? Gilifia was exasperated. She was already a mother, but she was still being hugged by Dustless. She was so embarrassed that she wanted nothing more than to find a hole to hide in. "Don't try to guess where I came from. Knowing my actual strength will only make you feel more despair. Remember, Gilifia, the truth is always painful, and reality is always cruel. Ignorance is bliss, and the more you know, the more boring your life will be." Dustless's long speech left Gilifia in a daze. She agreed with Dustless that ignorance is bliss. Sometimes, the more you know, the better. "I didn't expect you to." "Bastard, let go." Gilifia, who'd just been looking at Dustless in a new light, felt the small hands roaming around her body. Her face turned red, and her last good impression of him vanished in an instant. "You want me to let go? What kind of joke is this? Riaz kicked me in the morning. As her sister-in-law, it shouldn't be too much for you to repay her for kicking me, right? You two have a deep relationship, so it's fine to be considerate of each other." Dustless's expression showed that it was only right. Not only did he have no intention of stopping, he even increased the strength in his hands. That's the logic of a robber. Gulifia almost vomited blood. It's clearly between you and Riaz, so why are you taking revenge on me? Dustless smiled at Gulifia's complaints. Just as he was about to have a deeper conversation with her, a group of uninvited guests arrived. TSK, you ruined my plans. I'll find you in the underworld. You can't run away anyway. Seeing that Riaz, Junai, and the other members of the Supernatural Research Department had all arrived, Dustless gave up on the idea of conquering Gulifia. She could run away, but she couldn't run away. He was about to visit Gulifia's home, and there would be more opportunities then. Everyone, are you ready? We're going to the underworld now. After tidying up her messy clothes, Gulifia returned to her cold and untouchable self. Chapter 1295. The underworld was a gathering place for demons. It was vast and boundless, and countless families had taken root here. Among them were the demon kings, who were extremely powerful. Is this the minister's home? Hyuga Issei stared blankly at the majestic building before him. The castle under the sun looked especially sacred and majestic, and this was only the location of the villa. If there were other places like the garden. All in all, Hyuga Issei's knowledge of the place had been refreshed. The underworld? It's just so, nothing special about it. Dustless appeared to be very calm as he glanced at the majestic castle. He was not a country bumpkin like Hyuga Issei. Back when he was a celestial dragon, the castle he lived in was similar to this. Riaz, is there some kind of important occasion today? Why is it so grand? The villa was decorated with luxurious cereal ornaments. There were also a large number of servants who were busy decorating the garden. It seemed that they were very busy. I'm not too sure about that. Riaz expressed that she did not know. She subconsciously looked at Gulifia, and she was sure that Gulifia knew the reason. Gulifia's neck turned. Although she sensed Riaz's questioning gaze, she kept her mouth shut. You're still keeping me in suspense. This is a serious crime, Gulifia. Dustless shrugged. When he laughed, his whole body moved, making him look very wretched. Gulifia, who happened to see this, felt a chill run down her spine. She instinctively moved away from Dustless and approached Riaz. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Go in and rest. Gulifia raised her right arm elegantly and showed her signature professional smile. Perhaps she only felt safe when she was with Riaz. So these are Riaz's family. All of them look extraordinary. A gust of spring breeze blew, and a gentle voice with a hint of surprise came from the villa. Looking straight into the dark villa, a tall and slender woman walked in with graceful steps. This person had a beauty that could captivate even birds and beasts. Her appearance was outstanding and refined, elegant and noble. She wore a long white dress and her steps were graceful and calm. She was already used to being stared at by a large group of people. Her sacred aura made people feel ashamed of themselves. Facing the gazes of the crowd, she responded with a smile, giving people the feeling that she was very easygoing. Of course, there was one exception. The young man beside Riaz. A ripple flashed through the flawless eyes of the beautiful woman. She looked at Dustless with interest and couldn't help but secretly nod her head. His expression was resolute, and his character seemed calm and confident. Although he looked young, he revealed an indescribable maturity, which gave her a very strange feeling. The Dustless in front of her seemed to be older than her. Not only was the stunning woman curiously sizing up Dustless, but Dustless was also sizing up this woman with great interest. This is Lias's mother, Venerana Gimenri. She doesn't look like it. She looks more like Lias's sister. Dustless slandered in his heart as his eyes shone brightly. Dustless, just as Dustless was daydreaming, Riaz's dissatisfied voice came. It's rude of you to look at my mother with such vulgar eyes. Riaz's words were like a deep water bomb. Everyone was stunned and looked at Dustless in shock. Ahem, Dustless's mouth twitched violently as he glared at Riaz. 100,000 alpacas army flew through his mind. Auntie? Really? You're so young. Dustless smiled shyly and praised, I'm so sorry just now. I actually mistook you for Riaz's sister. Venerana's skin was as smooth as silk. Even light could be reflected off her skin. She didn't look like Riaz's mother at all. Ah. I've seen your picture before. I think you're called Dustless, Riaz's fiancé. Your mouth is like honey. You really know how to talk. Vainilana's smiling face was like a blooming flower, beautiful beyond compare. You want to compete with me? You're still 100 years too young. Wuchen glanced at Riaz proudly before his gaze landed on her mother's head again. Even though what he said just now was flattery, Venilana really didn't look like someone who had given birth before. Go in and rest. Dinner is ready. Gulifia went into work mode with a serious expression. Grumble. Wu Chen's stomach grumbled twice. He was really hungry. He raised his head and looked into the depths of the villa. Wu Chen vaguely saw a dazzling array of dishes. You can call me sister from now on. I like it a lot. Realizing that his wrist was being held by a warm hand, Dustless jerked his head up. The charming Venerana came into view. Her eyes were squinted into a line. It wasn't hard to see that she liked Dustless very much. Ahem, this isn't appropriate. Auntie. He coughed awkwardly. He was just saying it casually. Besides, Dustless's actual age was much older than Venerana. I also think it's inappropriate, mother. Riaz put her hands on her hips and glared. Her nose wrinkled in dissatisfaction. Allah Allah Allah, my lovely daughter is actually jealous? Seeing this, Venerana's eyes were filled with mockery. She found it more and more interesting. Like an elf, she grabbed Dustless's right hand tightly and deliberately put his hands near her big breasts and shook them around. Just a little bit more and he would be buried inside. You! Riaz saw this and stomped her feet in anger. In the end, she could only sigh helplessly. It sounded very powerless. The dissatisfaction on her flushed face faded. She looked at Dustless with pity. Although it's a bit embarrassing, Mother's personality is always so unpredictable. Just sacrifice yourself and call her sister. Chapter 1296. Hearing that, Dustless's face twitched violently. This was worse than killing him. Sis. Sis. Sis, Dustless tried to say it, but he couldn't say it even after a long time. It was really hard to say. He was also someone who had lived for a few hundred years. He was qualified to be Venilana's ancestor. Oh. Forget it. My cute son-in-law will tease you next time. Go in and wait. My husband and Sazax have been waiting for a long time. Looking at Dustless who was in pain, Venilana couldn't help but chuckle. This family must be mentally ill. Dustless stared at Riaz who had entered the mansion and shook his head with a bitter smile. He then stepped in as well. Inside the mansion, the decorations were luxurious. The spacious room was filled with a group of servants. They were all women. Although they were not as eye-catching as Riaz and Venilana, they were all beauties. Gulp. The corner of Hyoto Issei's mouth was like the overflowing yellow river. His saliva flowed for 3,000 feet. His eyes were filled with the dazzling, Yuelong, tribe. How should I call you? You have to call me sis. Should I call you little brother then? It feels like a good match. The name Dustless is too unfamiliar. Venilana walked to Dustless elegantly. She lowered her chin and looked at Dustless thoughtfully, as if she was looking for a suitable name. It's normal to feel unfamiliar when meeting for the first time. Dustless complained in his heart. He was speechless about Riaz's mother. Why don't you call me? I'll call you Chinkuan from now on. Venelana didn't give Dustless a chance to speak. She swore, this name is much better. It suits my future son-in-law very well. Hearing that, Wuchen raised his eyebrows slightly. When he was about to refuse, he thought of Venelana's unpredictable temperament and decided to leave it at that. It was hard to guess the thoughts of this weird hot mom. Speaking of which, Chinkuan, what do you think about the situation in the demon realm now? Venelana suddenly changed the topic and asked with a serious expression. Demon world? Dustless couldn't help but stare blankly. It was said that women's thinking was leapfrogged, and now it seemed to be true. Just a moment ago, she was still acting like a flirting little girl. Now, she was suddenly talking about the situation of the fiend realm. Dustless really didn't know how to react for a while. This has nothing to do with me. I have no interest in intervening in the battle between demons, fallen angels, and angels, Dustless replied calmly with a stern expression. Your thinking is somewhat naive. Venelana blinked, and her soft voice made people involuntarily believe her. When a matter escalates into a serious problem that the whole world has to face, do you think you can still stay out of it? This. Dustless raised his eyebrows and fell silent. What Venelana said was indeed a problem that could not be ignored. It was fine if you did not provoke others and lived a quiet life, but could you be sure that others would not provoke you? Needless to say, this was impossible. I'm no different from joining the struggle of this world. I have no interest in the struggle between the various factions, and I have no interest in knowing more about it. Dustless reiterated his principle again. If people don't provoke me, I won't provoke them. If people provoke me, I'll pay them back 100 times. But if some people have ideas about me and my friends, then I can only be forced to raise my butcher's knife again and clean up this world. Looking straight ahead, his indifferent eyes were full of contempt for everything. His magnanimous tone showed no fear. He knew that there were countless gods in this world, and countless powerhouses, but this was not a reason for Dustless to be afraid. Moreover, it was not like he had never defeated a god before. You're so young, but your heart is already so black. Venelana pretended to be afraid, but there was a satisfied smile at the corner of her eyes. Dustless was very much to her liking. He was strong, but he was low-key and happy to be ordinary. He had his own principles for everything, and he would never back down. She sincerely felt that Riaz had found a good husband. Compared to Rizel of the Phoenix family, Dustless was like a god descending from the heavens. At the same time, for some reason, Venelana felt a little jealous. Dustless was young, and his future was limitless. Especially now that he had the strength to laugh at the heavens, his future potential was immeasurable. In this world where the strong preyed on the weak, the strong were favored by everyone. During dinner, the luxurious dining table was filled with a dazzling array of food, and the aroma in the air was enough to whet one's appetite. Riaz, Dustless, and her family were all present. On the main seat sat a red-haired middle-aged man and Venelana. Other than that, there was a young man beside them who attracted the attention of Nokar. He had the same red hair as Riaz, and his handsome face was very gentle. The faint smile on his face gave off a very approachable feeling. He was one of the 4 demon lords, and Riaz's brother, Sazax Gimli. Obviously aware of Dustless's observation, Sazax looked up and smiled politely, very serene and sunny. F***ck, don't be like that. I'm the one who made you a cuckold. You're smiling so kindly, I have a feeling that you'll give Gulifia to me. Dustless complained in his mind. At the same time, he sneaked a glance at Gulifia. The latter also had a conflicted look on her face, full of uncertainty about the future. Everyone lowered their heads and ate in silence. The atmosphere was a little awkward and depressing. Just when everyone thought that they were going to brush it off, Riaz's father opened his mouth, and what he said almost made Dustless's head explode. Not just Dustless, everyone looked at Riaz's father in shock. Chapter 1297. When do you plan to marry my daughter? Also, that young lady from the Phoenix family, I think her name is Labelle, your personal maid. The Phoenix family has agreed to marry her to you. I hope that you two can get married soon. These words were like a storm that could destroy the world. Everyone, including Wu Qian, was thunderstruck until they were charred on the inside and tender on the outside. Bastard, my goddess is gone just like that. God damn it. Issei Hyuta wanted to cry, but no tears came out. His glass heart was shattered. Not only did he snatch away Ria's, who everyone admired, but now he did not even let Labelle go. I strongly object. Ria's reflexively stood up as if she was following her instincts. When she came to her senses, Ria's face was filled with shock and disbelief. What's wrong? Ria's father asked. Anyway, I can't accept him marrying two women at once. I have to be the first. Ria's, who was at a loss for words, casually found an excuse. In fact, when she stood up, she did not know why, but she felt very uncomfortable. What do you think, Chin-kun? Ria's mother, Venerana, looked at Dustless with her serene eyes. She held her cheeks with her hands, looking forward to Dustless's answer. Hearing this, Dustless, who could not find an excuse, was speechless. It did not matter whether Labelle married him or not, because Labelle was Dustless' personal maid now. No one could take her away. Marriage was just giving her a status. From a certain perspective, this was more like an olive branch from the Phoenix family. Rissel Phoenix had personally experienced Dustless's strength. Knowing that Labelle could not come back, she might as well marry Dustless directly. At the same time, she could also make Dustless owe her a favor. Any time is fine. Dustless naturally would not reject a beauty throwing herself at him. He secretly gave Ria's father a thumbs up. Since it's decided, let's put this matter aside for now. I have something to ask you. The main character, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. The moment he opened his mouth, he attracted everyone's attention. They all looked at him with fear. This person was Ria's brother, Sarzax Gimli. What happened between you and Seraph? Why is it that whenever she mentions you, she can't wait to tear you into pieces? Sarzax was deeply puzzled. Why would a great demon king be apprehensive of a little brat? He really did not understand. So it's this stupid matter. Dustless came to a realization. After he defeated Seraph that day, only a few people knew the truth. Even Ria's family did not know the inside story. It's just a small personal issue. It's just a trivial matter. There's no need for everyone to pay attention to it. Dustless didn't care at all. He said with a straight face, that woman is crazy. I don't want her sister. She insisted on pushing her into my arms. Poochie. Ria spat out all the juice that had just entered her lungs. She looked at Dustless in disbelief. She never thought that there would be such a shameless person in the world. Ria's was right in front of Dustless. Who would have thought that he would say that out loud? This bastard. He was the one who used force to oppress Kangna and Seraph. In the end, he forcefully took Seraph's virginity. How long has it been? Why has the version changed? Ria's head was dizzy. She now had a clearer understanding of how thick-skinned Dustless was. This is normal. Hearing this, Sarzax was calm. He maintained his rationality and calmness. He looked at Dustless and said, the demon realm is a place where benefits are highly valued. A powerhouse can bring countless benefits. If I were Seraph, I would definitely betroth my sister to you. No matter what happens in the end, there's no loss. Ria's lowered her head embarrassedly. Her face was red, and she showed a rare shy expression. This world was so cruel. It only cared about the size of one's fist. If you were strong enough or had potential, there would naturally be endless benefits. Just like Ria's and Hyoto Issei in the original work. If he did not have a divine artifact in hand, would Riaz look at him differently? The answer was obviously no. The dinner continued. The atmosphere was much more pleasant than before. At least there were people talking. After about an hour, the luxurious dinner finally ended. It's so boring to sleep alone in such a big place. I'm starting to doubt Junai's house. Lying on the soft and delicate sponge, Dustless, who had nothing to do, looked out of the window in a daze. The long night must not pass like this. His eyes suddenly spun. Just as he was about to use his eye power to release Amano Shima out to play, an uninvited guest suddenly came to disturb him. Creak. A faint light shone in through the gap of the door. The door was not completely pushed open. There was only a small gap, and a purple eye could be seen sweeping around like a thief. Finally, the eye stopped on the bed, and a victorious smile appeared on her face. Quietly observing the tall shadow reflected on the ground, Dustless frowned and asked himself without thinking, could it be Gulifia coming to take revenge on me? Dustless only offended Gulifia at the moment. As for Seraphil, she probably treated Dustless as a maleficent existence. You don't learn your lesson at all. Since I'm bored, I'll tease you. Realizing that Gulifia might come looking for trouble, Dustless's dull expression disappeared in a flash, and a faint look of anticipation appeared on his face. Creak. The weak gap was completely pushed open, revealing a graceful figure. The sudden visitor was wearing white lace pajamas. Her aura and taste were worlds apart from Gulifia's. Gulifia has silver hair. Dustless was confused. Looking over, he was stunned when he saw who it was. Riaz's mother, Venerana. Chapter 1298. For some reason, Venerana was wearing pajamas, but in Dustless's eyes, it was clear as if it was transparent. Every part of Venerana's body was clearly exposed to his eyes. What are you doing here in the middle of the night? Dustless raised his eyebrows as he thought about Venerana's intentions. Without a doubt, Riaz's mother was very impatient and very smart. Dustless's domineering attitude made it impossible for her to be hypnotized. There must be some kind of secret. Ahem, sensing the strange atmosphere, Dustless had to speak up. You're not asleep. Venerana was stunned and a little surprised. I was going to pee, but I didn't expect to run into you. May I know why you're here in the middle of the night? Dustless gave a lame excuse. Venerana wanted to say something but stopped. Sneaking into her future son-in-law's place in the middle of the night, no matter what the reason, especially when Venerana was wearing simple pajamas. If someone saw her, the consequences would be unimaginable. Clenching her teeth, Venerana said with determination, I hope you can make me stronger, I'm willing to give up everything. Everything? Hearing this, Dustless's eyes flashed with realization. He finally understood why she was wearing simple pajamas, and this kind of transparent one. Venerana sacrificed her body to feed the hungry wolf. Tell me your intentions first. Glancing at Venerana, Dustless was not as anxious as expected. His tone was as calm as water, without any fluctuations. Although he did not mind giving Venerana powerful strength, he had to at least understand the process. It's very simple, I hate the current family. Venerana showed an annoyed and even hateful expression, her fists were clenched tightly. Are you talking about the Gimli family? I see that you're living quite comfortably now. Dustless said with a hidden meaning. Venerana's eldest son, Sazax, was one of the demon kings, her daughter, Riaz, was also a proud child, and she also had a grandson. He really could not see why Venerana was dissatisfied. That's a bit far-fetched. Hearing this, Venerana smiled sadly, and said with a bitter tone, in the Great War several hundred years ago, the demon realm suffered an unprecedented blow, the battle between the three factions caused large-scale destruction. Countless pure-blooded demons fell in that war, and pure-blooded superior demons were even rarer. At that time, as one of the members of the Bar family, I was forced to marry into the Gimli family to ensure their bloodline. I see. Hearing this, Dustless revealed a look of understanding and guessed, "What do you want to borrow my power for?" "Destroy the current house of Gimli." "That's not it." Venelana shook her head decisively and sat beside Dustless. She looked at him affectionately and said, "I just want to obtain the power to control my own destiny." Although my son, Sazax, is one of the demon kings, I believe that there are people in this world who are stronger than him. In the words of you humans, this is called preparing for a rainy day. For this, I can give up everything. Venelana took the initiative to get close to Dustless's face. After blowing a mouthful of hot air, she looked at the lower part of Dustless's body. "Didn't you just say that you want to pee?" Venelana suddenly changed the topic, her smile was a bit strange. "Yes, yes." Dustless answered with a bit of sadness. It would have been better if she didn't ask, but when Venelana said that, he really did have the urge to pee, and it was a bit uncomfortable holding it in. "Then you can start now," Venelana suddenly said. "Are you kidding me? This is the bedroom, how can I just pee in a place like this?" Dustless said with a dark face. He always felt that this mentally retarded woman was playing with him. Staring at her rosy little face, Dustless was stunned by her next action. "I'm talking about here," Venelana said with a smile after blowing out a mouthful of hot air. Her white fingers pointed at her mouth, the meaning was self-evident. "In my mouth?" Hearing this, Dustless's eyes instantly turned red, looking at Venelana who turned into a fairy, his breathing became heavy, the chakra and ryatsu in his body began to go berserk, he was about to explode. "In order to get my power, is it worth sacrificing so much?" At the critical moment, Dustless calmed down, looking at Venelana's dark red lips, he felt that he was about to melt. "No, demons don't have any concept of chastity, maybe this kind of thing is something they are used to." Shaking his head, thinking about the female demons he met, Dustless's inner barrier also disappeared. Female demons didn't care about worldly concepts like humans, the demon world was like Europe in the Middle Ages, as long as you were strong enough, you could sit on countless partners, and you could choose any beauty you want. It was the same for females, no matter if they were male or female, there were countless secret lovers behind them. Of course, whether this red apricot could be hooked out of the wall, it depended on the individual's factors, and Dustless was undoubtedly able to do this. "I'm already like this, are you not willing?" Venelana's tone was filled with resentment, like a little wife who was bullied, her tone was coquettish, Dustless's body was half melted. "Do I look like the kind of person who would take advantage of a burning house?" Dustless was speechless, he always felt that he was taking advantage of someone when they were in trouble. "This is normal, every powerful man has countless women behind them, my husband was like this when he was young." Venelana replied calmly, absolute power could change everything. Also, Rias's mother, Venelana, simply lay in Dustless's arms, holding onto his neck and asked, "Don't you want to experience the feeling of having a mother and daughter all by yourself?" Bang bang bang. Dustless's heart was beating rapidly, an unprecedented big problem was placed in front of him. Be a beast? Or be worse than a beast? It was really hard to choose. This was a big problem. Chapter 1299. Dustless's heart was in a dilemma. This question seemed to be extremely difficult to choose. It would be difficult to deal with someone like a marine admiral or a village kage. Allah Allah Allah. Every man has this kind of dream, you should have it too. Venelana giggled. Her body was fragrant and her skin was white and beautiful. She looked like a vixen. Ahem, I'm a man with principles. Dustless took the initiative to start a conversation with Venelana. He shook his head like a rattledrum. He did have this kind of thought before, but recently Rias treated him well and cared for him. If Rias knew about this in the future, Dustless was really afraid that she would be sad. Could it be that you are? Venelana's eyes were filled with suspicion. After examining Dustless for a few seconds, she said strangely, it shouldn't be, or are you? Speaking of this, Venelana showed a shocked expression. She pointed at Dustless in shock and said, or, are you gay? Or you can't do that. If that's the case, I can't marry Rias to you. I'm not gay, my sexual orientation is normal. Dustless's old face was twitching. He looked at Venelana angrily and said with a smile, since you doubt me, then experience it for yourself. After saying that, Dustless violently grabbed Venelana's neck. With a little force, she couldn't help but cough. Her little face was red. What are you doing? Venelana asked in a shocked tone. She didn't wear much. It was just a nightgown, and it was transparent white. The high frequency of shaking made Dustless feast his eyes. I need to pee, so I'll use your mouth as a toilet. You said before that you would be my toilet for free. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I can't let it go. I'll fulfill your tiny wish, no need to thank me. With a sneer, Wu Chen's arm, which was as thin as a willow branch, exploded with an explosive force. He pressed Rias's mother, Venerana, tightly onto the ground, forcing her head to maintain the same height as his lower body. This guy is indeed not an ordinary person. It was right to rely on him. Feeling the power contained in Dustless's single hand, Venelana was secretly shocked. Her heart was like a huge wave rolling up into the sky. Everything she said before was to trick Dustless and test his strength. If he couldn't do it, she naturally wouldn't lose herself to Dustless. There are no fluctuations of magic power. Is it just pure strength? Feeling the hand grabbing her head, Venelana confirmed it again and panted like a cow. Why was Suzuka so outstanding? To a certain extent, he had inherited Venelana's bloodline, or the destructive magic of the Ball family that she belonged to. However, Venelana had exhausted all the magic in her body, but she could not resist Dustless's brutal rule. The most shocking thing was that Venerana did not feel the slightest bit of magic power, not even a drop. In other words, Dustless had subdued her with brute force. Is he really human? Venelana said in disbelief. This kind of absolute power definitely did not belong to a human. At the same time, Dustless was not a demon, a fallen angel, or an angel. Could it be that he is some god or some unknown demon king? Maybe he is a dragon that can turn into a human with a jump. Only the legendary dragons have such great strength without using magic power. Venelana secretly guessed. Although this idea was a little strange, at least she felt that everything was possible. At the same time, she felt her mouth being pried open. Dustless glanced indifferently at Rias's mother, Venelana, and said leisurely, "Thank you for your hospitality." Time passed quickly. After spending most of the night with Venelana, Dustless was so tired that he fell asleep. Venelana, who was whipped full of holes by Dustless, did not leave. She decided to spend the night beside Dustless. It was not that she did not want to leave, but Dustless made her too weak. Plus, her pajamas were torn into countless pieces. She could not go out naked. The morning sun was mighty, and the warm light shone on people's faces. The young man subconsciously rubbed his eyes. It's already past 10 o'clock. Seriously. Dustless stretched his waist lazily, and there was a crisp sound of bones cracking. Will Lise kill me if she finds out? He turned his head and looked at Venelana's sleeping face. Her expression was calm and peaceful. There was still a blush on both sides of her face that had not yet faded. Her two arms were tightly hugging Dustless's arm, afraid that she would slip away. With a heavy sigh, Dustless leaned back on the bed. Thinking about how things had turned out to be like this, although Dustless felt guilty towards Rias, he did not know why he did not regret it at all. Instead, he felt very excited. How can I make her stronger? Hogyoku doesn't seem to work. For a weak creature like a demon, the Hogyoku will explode. Since he had taken Rias's mother Venelana, Dustless had to be responsible. At least, he had to make her stronger. I can let her eat the devil fruit. Dustless's eyes flashed, and he thought that this plan was feasible. He used to collect a lot of devil fruits in the One Piece world, and there were still a lot of them in the system that had not been eaten. He could also give them to Rias and the others. What's the matter? Wuchen frowned as he felt the warm air coming from behind him. Suddenly, the quilt moved. He turned his head and saw Rias's mother, Venerana, looking at him with a smile. What should I call you now? Chin-kun? Cute son-in-law? Or? Venelana pursed her lips and smiled without saying anything. Dustless also smelled the scent of conspiracy. Chapter 1300. When Venelana chose to show herself, Dustless knew that other than her strength, she had some kind of secret that could not be told. Dustless did not think that his charm would be enough to make Venelana fall head over heels for him. Knock knock knock. There was a hurried knock on the door, and a familiar voice sounded. Are you still not awake? The sun is almost up. Is this Rias? Dustless and Venelana looked at each other and saw the panic in each other's eyes. Although he really wanted to test this mother and daughter pair, it was not the right time yet. You hide first. Venelana hurriedly put on her clothes. This was also because Rias had found out that she was having an affair with her future husband. Venelana shuddered at the thought of it. She looked around and searched for her clothes at the fastest speed in her life. However, Venelana sadly discovered that her pajamas had long been torn into pieces by Dustless's beastly nature. Hide me. Is there something wrong with your head? This is my bedroom, and the one hiding is also you. Dustless said with a dark face. Just as he was about to let Venelana hide under the bed, he heard a creak. Rias had already pushed the door open, and there was a small gap. I'm coming in, Dustless. Pushing the door open completely, Rias smiled and walked in elegantly. There seems to be a special smell. Rias frowned and looked suspiciously at Dustless, who was embarrassed. After sniffing the air twice, Rias's eyes became serious, and she said with certainty, it seems to be the smell of a woman, and it's very familiar, it's mother. Pfft. Dustless's face darkened, and he said sternly, don't talk nonsense, do I look like that kind of person? I'm just joking. Even if you are, mother isn't. Rias's face broke into a smile as she pursed her lips. After saying that, Rias glanced under Wu Chen's bed and scanned the surroundings from the corner of her eyes. She felt relieved when she sensed the dead silence around her. Bullsh *T, she's the one who came to meet me. Dustless complained in his mind, but he asked casually, is it time to go back? Class is the day after tomorrow. Rias sat beside Dustless. I was hoping that someone would train Ichij and increase his strength. Who knew? Sigh. Dustless did not say anything, but he laughed in his mind. How could Ichij have any motivation? His harem was all taken care of by him, and now he was gloriously upgraded to a commander without an army. After breakfast, Dustless and some people from the Paranormal Research Department went to the territory of the Gimli family. The group chatted and laughed, and they hurried back in the evening. Lady Rias, dinner is ready. Inside the brightly lit luxurious villa, Gulifia's signature working tone could be heard. Lady Venelana, and Junai frowned when she noticed that Rias's parents and brother were absent from the dinner. Sazax and the others are very busy, please forgive us for not being able to entertain you during the dinner. Gulifia bowed and apologized. Her every move was professionally trained, and her expression was meticulous. Phew, Brother Cheng let out a sigh of relief and sat down. He looked at the dazzling array of dishes and wiped his hands, drooling. He was starving after a day of wandering. That's boring. Hearing that, Dustless crossed his legs. He had thought of many new positions to test with Venelana, but the female lead was missing, and looking at Gulifia's serious expression, it was doubtful that she would even come back at night. Please enjoy, I still have something to do, goodbye. Seeing that Dustless and the rest were all seated, Gulifia bowed again elegantly and left the dining room. Rias, My stomach is not feeling well. I ate too much during the day, so I'm going to take a rest, Dustless said tiredly with a pained expression. Too much. Riaz smiled and waved her hand helplessly. Got it. Go get some rest. Sleep early and wake up early. We have to go back to Horse King Academy tomorrow. Senpai, you ate too much? A doubtful voice came, and the naturally naive kitten's expression changed to one of disbelief. Junai and Aisha also looked at Dustless in shock. As for Issei, he was wolfing down his food and ignoring Dustless. Brother Cheng hated this person who ruined his harem dreams. It was no wonder that they were suspicious. Dustless only ate a small amount of food when they went out to play today. These guys are too troublesome. Dustless could only admit defeat. I'm not used to this place, and my stomach has been hurting for the whole day. I also ate something with a strong oily taste, and now I feel nauseous. You guys don't want me to pee and pee everywhere, right? Leave now. Everyone said with disdain. Thud thud thud, messy footsteps came from the corridor. Gilifia, in her maid outfit, was no longer as sacred and inviolable as before. She turned into a stream of light and pounced forward with a serious expression. Ms. Gilifia, you seem to be in a hurry. Where do you want to go? I'll take you there. Just as she was about to rush out of the mansion, a flash of light blocked the corridor. Dustless. Gilifia's beautiful eyes were dazed, and she subconsciously pulled her legs back. Am I that scary? Dustless started to think about his image. He suddenly realized that the most powerful queen of the underworld and the demon queen Seraphil, who was the Leviathan, had the same expression when they saw him. It was as if they had seen the legendary dragon. No, they were even more terrified than seeing the legendary dragon. Chapter 1301. Wu Chen was depressed in his heart. He had bitter water but couldn't pour it out. When did I become such a scum that people ran away from? Gilifia gritted her teeth, cursing her bad luck. She was even more conflicted than Dustless. You don't have to hide from me. I'm not as scary as you think. Dustless rubbed his nose awkwardly, showing a rare gentleness. Gilifia looked up and saw through Dustless's heart. Perhaps she sensed his deeper meaning, or perhaps it was because the situation was urgent. She said in a heavy tone, many of Gemengli's territories have been attacked by mysterious people. Sazax and the others are rushing to help. Attacking Gemengli's territories? Which god or demon king is leading the attack? Their courage is astonishing. Dustless was surprised, but at the same time, he was also curious about the identity of the mysterious people. Although Sazax was known as the Demon King, his true strength was beyond that. Dustless really wanted to meet someone who dared to sneak up on a tiger and kick its butt. I'm not sure. There are many of them. It seems to be a special organization. Gilifia smiled bitterly and sighed. Her eyes dimmed a little, indicating that she was not sure either. Could it be the Calamity Group? Wu Chen's eyes lit up. He couldn't help but think of this special organization, which gathered all kinds of powerful terrorists, such as White Dragon Emperor Wally, and many people of the old Devil King faction, including Cao Cao of the Hero faction in the future, all belonged to this organization. In short, the Calamity Group gathered people from all walks of life. There were all kinds of people in the organization. It was very chaotic. At the same time, it was undeniable that this organization was very powerful. Boom! 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 A deafening roar was heard. The magic power was unfathomable. Wherever the vibrating ripples spread, the living beings wailed. TSK, TSK. Although I don't know much about magic power, someone who can produce such destructive waves should be quite powerful. I haven't exercised for a long time. Now that they've come to me, I'm really grateful. Although he had been enjoying the fragrance of women recently, pursuing battle was Dustless's greatest pleasure and hobby. Let's go and have a look. Dustless smiled and disappeared in a flash. His body turned into a golden streamer and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Gulifia was startled. She thought that her old eyes were blurred and she didn't see Wu Chen suddenly disappear. With the speed of light, any creature that wanted to spy on them would feel pressured. Black Song, even if Sazax has been lured out, there are still many powerful beings in his family. His queen, Gulifia, is no pushover. The armored middle-aged man said with a frown. He was quite dissatisfied with the black-haired cat-eared woman in front of him. Beautiful monkey, isn't challenging the strong your hobby? Are you afraid now? The woman called He Gu turned her head and sneered. You're afraid of a woman? To think that you're the descendant of the victorious fighting Buddha. If you're so scared, then hurry up and go home to carry on your ancestral line. Don't wander around outside. I'm just being conservative. Don't forget our mission. Try to cause as much damage as possible. I heard from Wally that the three major forces are showing signs of forming an alliance. Our current mission is to stir up as much unrest as possible in the demon realm, not to pursue meaningless duels. Although I'm passionate about battle, we still have to make clear our priorities. Beautiful monkey didn't think much of it. He knew that this was He Ji's provocation. Her goal was to have him attract the firepower of the Gimli family, and then He Gu herself would go and save her sister, de Shangbain. Is this a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain? It sounds like a perfect plan. Unfortunately, the heavens are not on my side. I heard your plan. A ghostly voice emerged from the bottom of their hearts without warning. They immediately retreated on reflex. Who is it? Get out here. Beautiful monkey looked around and gripped the Jingu Bang tightly in his hand. He stared coldly at the abandoned dark corner on the left. Thud thud thud. A handsome young man walked out of the darkness. Are the two of you all right? Dustless smiled and waved his hand. Are they all right? For some reason, beautiful monkey felt humiliated when he heard this sentence. He was frightened by this ghostly voice just now. It was like a ghost suddenly appeared behind you and greeted you. Who could be all right? Who are you? De Shang He Gu lowered her chin and asked curiously. Who knows? The name is not important. Dustless shook his head. He thought of the past and gave an ambiguous answer. In the past, I brought hope to some people and was worshipped like a god. At the same time, I destroyed their world and was feared like a ghost by others. The number of names and titles given to me by the people of the world is as numerous as the carps in the river. Dustless's eyes were blank. His tone was filled with vicissitudes. His turbid eyes were used to seeing the vicissitudes of life. He had once cared about the dominance of the world. He had once obtained it and even destroyed it. He had experienced several hundred years of ups and downs. Now that he was all alone and roaming the universe alone, he realized that this was the happiest and most enjoyable life. Frowning, Dustless recovered from the river of memories. Suddenly, his shoulder felt sore. He opened his eyes and saw that the clothes on his left shoulder had already been torn apart. His right arm was exposed to the air. What's going on? I was fine just now. Dustless muttered to himself. He was lost in his memories and didn't notice the changes in his surroundings. The beautiful monkey's mouth was wide open, so wide that a large rock could be stuffed in. Black Song, who had been standing beside him for a long time, also had her beautiful eyes wide open. You idiot! At this time, a burst of angry curses came. Dustless turned around and saw that it was Gulifia. That man who looks like a monkey, didn't you get hit by his stick? Gulifia's mouth twitched. This guy was hit by a stick and didn't even know what happened. Shit, who hit me with a stick? Wu Chen reacted and scolded loudly. Just now, he only felt that his shoulder was sore. Who would have thought that someone would sneak an attack on him? Chapter 1302. Dustless was infuriated by Gulifia's stare. He was so angry that he subconsciously sank into his memories. Who would have thought that someone would dare to ambush him? Even if you did, you should have used more force so that I wouldn't notice. Monkey, did you go easy on me? Black Song of Taching approached the pale-faced monkey and asked. Although I didn't use my full strength, the force just now was enough to shatter a mountain. Monkey took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. He looked at Dustless in shock and guessed, is this guy's body made of meteorites and diamonds? Quietly sizing up Dustless's white and flawless skin, Monkey nodded in agreement. It was as white as diamonds and even glowed. Let's retreat for now. That silver-haired woman is not to be trifled with. Taking a deep look at Gulifia, the beautiful monkey then glanced at Dustless, who had a faint smile on his face as if he was sizing up a mouse. Although he was unhappy, he still chose to retreat. The mission was the most important thing, and personal grudges should be put aside first. Let's retreat. Black Song of Tachin glanced at the castle in the distance, his bright eyes dimming. You want to leave after beating me up? With a flash of light, Dustless appeared behind Monkey. However, this guy seemed to have eyes on the back of his head. Without even looking, he swung his staff at Monkey. Bam! Dustless's body was instantly scattered into a large number of photons. That's all there is to it. As long as I take it seriously, what are you so proud of? The photons that were wandering around recovered and recondensed into Dustless's body. His face was full of anger. Just now, it was almost the same as the soreness in my shoulder. It was indeed you who sneaked an attack on me. Pfft! Gulifia giggled, cursing Dustless for not being serious. At the same time, she was shocked by his strength. He's neither a fallen angel nor a demon nor an angel. His body doesn't seem to have any magic waves, so he should be a human. But what's with his body structure? How can a human become so strong? You're courting death. The beautiful monkey flew into a rage. His body erupted with astonishing strength as he leapt up. Gulifia, I'll leave that cat-eared girl to you. Don't hurt her. Gulifia was stunned. Dustless's voice suddenly rang in her mind. So many strange abilities. Gulifia sighed with a complicated look in her eyes. She didn't know whether to rejoice or regret her relationship with Dustless. Boom boom boom. Gulifia's mana went berserk and chose to do as Dustless wished. Brat, you have angered me. You must pay the price for your arrogance. The beautiful monkey floated in the air. He stood on a cloud and stared down at Dustless with an arrogant look in his eyes. It had to be said that as the descendant of the victorious fighting Buddha, the beautiful monkey did have the right to be proud. The only sad and pitiful thing was that the person he was courting death against this time was also a fiendish person. Bzzz bzzz bzzz. The golden hooped cudgel in the monkey's hand rapidly enlarged, from the original cudgel to an exaggerated heaven-supporting divine pillar. It was thousands of times larger than before. He swung it around, and wherever the enlarged golden hooped cudgel swept past, ripples would appear in the void. It was as if as long as the monkey waved it gently, the mountain would collapse. How sad, glancing at the beautiful monkey, Dustless's interest waned. He wasn't on the same level as the monkey at all. He had no interest in fighting. Dow Breakers 90, Black Coffin. Deep in the clouds, countless black lights poured down. The curved black lights were like the bright moon, sparkling and translucent. The beautiful monkey didn't feel anything. He looked down at Dustless arrogantly and continued to enlarge the Jingu Bang in his hand. He was so angry that he wanted to smash Dustless into meat paste to vent his anger. Up there, silly child. Pointing at the pure black wind blade in the sky, Dustless didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This guy had probably never experienced failure before. That was why he was so arrogant. Up there. The beautiful monkey subconsciously looked at the sky. The black light filled with the afterglow of death frightened him. He quickly controlled the enlarged Jingu Bang to smash the top of his head. Bang, bang, bang. Although he shattered many blade attacks at the first moment and avoided the shadow of death, the beautiful monkey's Jingu Bang was also in a miserable state. There were a lot of messy blade marks on it. His body was also bleeding profusely, and there were several ghastly cracks on his body. The enlarged version of the golden cudgel had indeed saved his life, but it was inevitable that some fish would slip through the net. The beautiful monkey himself had also suffered a heavy blow. How could it be? How could it be? How could it be? This guy almost killed me without even moving his hand. The beautiful monkey's eyes were dull. If it wasn't for the stinging pain from his wounds that made him want to die, he might have thought that it was an illusion that some bastard used on him. Bang! After suffering such a heavy blow, the somersault cloud under his feet was difficult to control. The beautiful monkey was sweating profusely. He finally fell down without any strength. Your body is very strong. Otherwise, you would have been cut into monkey meat. Dustless laughed in a teasing tone. Who are you? Which god's descendant are you? The infinite dragon god Orpheus or the real red dragon god Emperor? The beautiful monkey asked in a rare gossipy manner. Although his thoughts were strange, he felt that it was very possible after witnessing Dustless's unprecedented strength. As the descendant of the victorious fighting Buddha, he was killed in one hit and was on the verge of death. If it wasn't for his thick skin, he would have been kicked out of the game and reported to the underworld. I am a human, and I don't belong to any faction. If I have to find a name, it would be Dustless. Stopping his steps, Dustless replied indifferently and walked towards the beautiful monkey again. Chapter 1303. The monkey's head was burning, and cold sweat dripped down like raindrops. He wanted to wave the Jingu staff again, but his injuries forced him to accept a cruel reality. Even if the enemy was on his last breath and could die with a poke, he did not have the strength to execute Dustless's death sentence. This is a joke, right? We haven't even started fighting. How did it end over there? Tacheng Hage glanced in the direction where Dustless and the monkey were fighting, and complained angrily, "Monkey, if you want to slack off, just say so." This was too fake. He was KO'd as soon as he entered the battlefield. Fake? Why don't you try? The beautiful monkey's heart was bleeding. He looked at Dustless, who was just inches away from him, and his heart was filled with despair. He originally thought that Gilifia and Demon King Sazax were Jaimin's trump cards. Who would have thought that this great god of death was still hiding in the dark? You're not a beautiful woman, nor are you someone with outstanding strength. You have no value to me. Dustless glanced at the struggling monkey with pity. He squatted down and looked at the monkey. How about you give me a reason not to kill you? I don't need your pity. You can't kill me if you want to. He did not know where the strength came from. Maybe it was because of the explosion of his little universe, or maybe it was because he was unwilling to die. The monkey stood up again miraculously. Our race is known as the strongest battle race. The monkey raised his head, like a proud warrior. He regained his arrogant aura. Even if he died, he would die standing. Fighting is not good. Why don't we sit down and talk? I have a question for you. Dustless withdrew the energy fluctuations that overflowed from his body, and he returned to his calm and collected appearance. Huff. The endless majesty that shrouded his entire body disappeared. The beautiful monkey hurriedly fought to be the first to take a deep breath. He was afraid that Wu Qin would erupt with that earth-shattering aura again. Facing the serious Wu Qin, sometimes it was difficult for him to even breathe. Is the red dragon god emperor you're talking about the strongest dragon DXD that lives in the dimensional crevice? There's also another one called Great Red? Dustless asked curiously as vague information about Great Red surfaced in his mind. What do you want? Hearing this, the beautiful monkey frowned and stared at Dustless. Noticing his interested expression, an absurd idea popped up in his mind. This guy definitely isn't curious about the real Red Dragon Emperor. He's probably as crazy as Wally. He wants to defeat the invincible DXD. Beautiful monkey exclaimed in his heart, sighing that there was still a lunatic like Wally in the world. However, who would have thought that Dustless's next sentence would make him feel like he was about to explode? I hate walking, so I need a mode of transportation. That dragon called God Emperor True Red Dragon, I think he will be suitable. Dustless stated his purpose seriously. His tone was very calm. It was not difficult to tell that he was speaking from the bottom of his heart. After a few seconds of eerie silence, the beautiful monkey suddenly screamed, This is definitely a lunatic that's even weirder than Wally. His thoughts and worldview were completely destroyed. Even his voice was stuttering. Forget it. Pretend I didn't say anything. Look at you, you don't know anything. Glancing at the petrified beautiful monkey, Dustless realized that he had asked the wrong person. Scram. Don't let me see you. Dustless waved his hand and walked toward the area of Tower City where Haegu and Gulifia were fighting. What did you say? Hearing this, the beautiful monkey's face turned purple as he gripped the Jingu Bang tightly. All the muscles on his body bulged. He felt greatly insulted. Since when did someone dare to speak to him like this? Even if I die, I'll take you down with me. The beautiful monkey said, filled with hatred and determination. He didn't hesitate to enlarge the Jingu Bang. When it became as thick as a house, he waved it with all his might. Just as he was planning to smash Dustless to death, a cold voice suddenly exploded in his mind. Do you think you're still alive because of your strength and hard work? What a naive monkey. You're still alive because of my mercy. Otherwise, a half-baked like you would have been killed by me long ago. I've only let you move around for so long because I've been too bored lately. A long string of words echoed in his mind for a long time. The beautiful monkey looked at the disappearing figure in a daze and lowered his head in despair. Is the end of the world coming? No. Suddenly thinking of something, the beautiful monkey shouted in his heart, Orpheus can change her body at will. I heard that she used to be an old man. This guy might be DXD's original body that was too bored and came out to seek death. The beautiful monkey immediately displayed his strange thinking. He suddenly felt that his loss was not shameful. After all, he was the real divine Emperor Crimson Dragon. You're not done yet. An untimely, ear-piercing voice suddenly rang out. Parting the dense leaves, Dustless looked at Gulifia and Brother Hay who were in a tense standoff. This time, he began to criticize Gulifia. You haven't dealt with her yet? Are you waterproof, Gulifia? Gulifia snorted and didn't say anything. Where's the beautiful monkey? Sensing that the beautiful monkey's presence had disappeared, Heiji's expression changed. He suddenly had a bad feeling. If you don't save him, he might die in a few minutes. Being attacked by Dao Breaker 90 is no small matter. Dustless sat on the grass calmly, as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. But it seems like you don't have a chance to save everyone. There's a female demon in front of you, and behind you. Who are you calling a female demon, you bastard? Gulifia was so angry that her silver hair stood on end. Chapter 1304. Gulifia was trembling all over. If she could, she wanted to pounce on Dustless and strangle him to death. That bastard's mouth didn't hold back at all, and that half-smile was definitely on purpose. Aw. Sorry, Gulifia, it was a slip of the tongue. I still have things to do, so I'm going back to sleep. I'll leave tomorrow. That exercise just now really felt good. Wuchen moaned comfortably to the sky. Then, he turned around and left without saying goodbye. Where's the monkey? Haegu asked. Thinking back to the energy ripple that oppressed the sky, she was already prepared to collect the monkey's corpse. Him. Dustless retracted his step and said calmly, "He won't die for now, but even the gods won't be able to save him in a while." "Then why didn't you take care of him?" "The monkey is the descendant of the victorious fighting Buddha. If you don't take care of him now, he'll be a huge problem in the future." Gulifia scolded and suddenly changed directions, as if she wanted to finish off the monkey for Dustless. "Take care of him? There's no need for that. If he can grow to my level one day, I'll even burn incense and pray to the heavens for mercy." Dustless's words left Gulifia and Taching He-gu dumbfounded. "You want to nurture an enemy to kill you?" Gulifia asked in shock. She cursed the lunatic in her mind and warned seriously, "That's nurturing the enemy." "As Riaz's, sorry, but I'm not Riaz's kin." Dustless words made Gulifia speechless. She could only stare. Dustless wasn't Riaz's kin, so he didn't have to listen to the Gimli family's orders. In any case, let them go. Dustless took a deep look at Gulifia, then swaggered off. "You think I'll let them go just because you said so? What a joke. Like you said, I'm not your kin, so I don't have to listen to your orders." Gulifia retorted sarcastically as her demonic energy surged. These people were related to the future of the fiend realm, and as the wife of the demon king, she could not let them go. "Hee, so you don't agree? That's fine too. I'll go tell Sazax right now. I believe he'll definitely, you win." Gulifia rushed to Dustless's side like a gust of wind, glaring at him with her gem-like eyes. If it weren't for the fact that Dustless's strength was unfathomable, and that she knew that she wouldn't be able to shake him even if she went all out, she would have definitely fought without any regard for her life. "Her name is Taching He-gu. She is Kitten's older sister." Without further explanation, Dustless said as he walked, "She's my teammate's sister, and she's not a bad person." "You want me to kill her?" "Sorry, I really can't do it." "Are you sure?" Gulifia asked suspiciously. She always felt that Dustless had a tool that could foresee the future, as if he knew everything. "I don't think that's the only reason." Glaring at Dustless, Gulifia said meaningfully, "They're sisters, and they're both quite pretty. Don't you want them for yourself?" Hearing that, Dustless frowned and shook his head. He said decisively, "There are as many beautiful women in this world as there are grains of sand in the Ganges. If I like any one of them, I'll have to change my kidney sooner or later." Despite his words, Dustless's heart was itching. He and Kitten had been in the same environment for a long time, and even if they didn't have a so-called emotional foundation, they would develop feelings for each other over time. Moreover, Dustless had always been sympathetic to the sisters, and he was just fooling Gulifia. Otherwise, he would have been called the peerless sex demon, or godly worker king who defeated Hutu Issei. At the same time, in another direction. "Monkey, how do you feel?" Dashang He-gu looked at the shocking wounds on Monkey's body and couldn't help but feel a chill. Some of the wounds on his abdomen could even see his internal organs, and his intestines were almost falling out. She quickly found a bandage to wrap Monkey's wounds to prevent blood from flowing out. "How do you feel?" "I saw the Grim Reaper." Monkey smiled bitterly. The confidence he had accumulated over the years had completely collapsed. "Idiot, if you can hold on for a while, and wait for Wally to come, you can definitely hold on for a while. Don't you think your back hurts when you talk while sitting?" Monkey angrily interrupted Dashang He-ji's speech and angrily scolded, "If it wasn't for that man's long-winded nonsense, my fight with him would have ended in 5 seconds, no, 1 second. In reality, it ended in about 1 second. During that time, Dustless was talking nonsense and asking Monkey God Emperor Jin Red Dragon's location. "Oh. He's very strong." A strange magic formation suddenly flashed in the sky, and then a curious voice came from it. A mysterious figure in silver armor appeared. "You're injured quite badly, Monkey." His tone fluctuated and became more serious. Then, the armor on his body disappeared, revealing a handsome silver-haired youth. "Wally." Not only am I injured, he's not interested in me at all. Otherwise, I would have been dismembered. Monkey angrily punched the ground, his expression full of unwillingness. Seems like he's very strong. Wally's eyes lit up. He was not interested in anything. His greatest joy was fighting and defeating Jin Red Dragon God Emperor. Then what's his purpose? What's his name? Wally wanted to know more about Dustless and continued to ask, to be able to defeat you so easily, he must be a world-famous figure. I think he's called Dustless. He's a human. His purpose. He said that he wanted to capture Jin Red Dragon God Emperor as a tool. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.